Good morning. Welcome to the Dennis Herrera Show. My name is Dennis Herrera. And if you were here with me last night, well, you would have had a good time. I know I had a good time. I know I was up there pretty late. For some reason, it looks like my somehow the uh, the vertical stream or the portrait stream is not coming in here for some reason. I'm not sure how how YouTube is how YouTube is controlling the live feeds, but I can tell you that it's not the way that I wanted it to work. So for some reason, so good morning, Robert and Craig. Good morning. For some reason, the way you have to understand this. Okay, so when I set up the lives, okay, I set them up on my software. Okay, my software. I am doing multi-streaming, as you guys know. So I was able to get the notification for the landscape mode, which is not the one that you guys are on, because normally the portrait mode, which is the one that Robert and Cray are in, that is the one that gets the most views for some reason, and I'm not able to show both of them here on my computer, and it looks like YouTube just grabbed the information that I have for another live setup. So let me see if I can just make sure that the thumbnails are the same and that everything else matches. I'm gonna have to go in here and do it manually now. Let's see. You know, if you guys knew what I'm talking about, you're gonna be like, bro, that's crazy. How do you remember how to do all that stuff? Well, I ask myself the same damn question. The same damn question. How do I remember these things? Hey guys, if you guys were with me last night, you gotta admit that last night we had a good time. I know I sure did, and it all happens because of you guys. If it wasn't because of you guys, nothing would happen. Nothing would happen. That's just the way it goes. Okay. Let's see if I am on the right one. This is horrible. It's pathetic, is what it is. And let's see if this is right now. Bam, bam, ba-da-da-da, bam, ba-da-da-da, dun, dun. Oh yeah, this is it right here. All right, here we go. I'm sure that we're gonna have a big problem with. Hey Haley, how are you? Uh, Haley, you are gonna be one of the few on the landscape mode, which is fine. You can stay there. I will try to read the comments from there. Now I won't be able to type, so if we're watching a video, I won't be able to reply to you. Okay, but I will definitely keep an eye on that chat as well, and make sure that I have my other one as well going through. Bam, bam, ba-da-da. Man, I love that entrance. I actually do. To you, okay? There we go. Okay, so now I'm logged into the other one, and that way I'm going to be chatting with the main group, obviously on the portrait mode. I just want to throw it out there. So if people like to have the mobile version, then boom, we got it. I am at work. It is fine. Okay, thank you, Haley. Well, I hope that you have a good listening here and that we can keep you entertained. There's a lot of things that I cover every single day, and I will try not to allow the negative people to come in and trigger me. One of the things that you have to know about me is I'm a very passionate man, and when I really care about things, it bothers me when things don't go right or are not fair or are unjust. And I try to find the medium ground, right? I want to be find I want to find that middle, that sweet spot of where we need to be as humans, so that we can, be the best that we can be, so to speak. So, I'm sorry, I got a bunch of cameras on here. I was gonna go live at about 7 this morning, and I've been playing with the second camera, and it just never worked. I have to get some new cables, I think. But yeah, I always try to be fair with everything, and I am a Trump supporter, 100%. I support President Trump. I think he's doing what needs to get done, and even if people don't agree with me, that's okay. We can agree to disagree. But you do have to know this. A lot of people are going to come into my channel. They're going to go into my videos. I don't do shorts that much, but they will go into my videos and they will just leave some negative comments in there. That's just the way the trolls work. Okay. I never go into somebody's, podcast on their videos and just drop a nasty, nasty comment with with no foundation, with no, I don't know, constructive criticism. I guess I can talk about, or I can call it. But it is what it is. Well, I'll tell you what. Today we're gonna go ahead and start. Let me get this closed. Yeah. Okay. Close that. Listen, there's a lot of things that we can cover today, but I want to start off with immigration. Illegal immigrants getting deported. It's not what you think. I guarantee it. But I do want to show it because I think it's important that everybody gets to watch this video. Hopefully, you guys share this live streaming. Or if anything, maybe you can clip this part that I'm going to show you right here, because it's very important that people understand what happens with illegal immigrants. Good morning, veteran Huffman. How are you, sir? Good to see you on here. Dennis for president, that he can be on the inside and tell us all the truth. Kenneth, I appreciate that. I appreciate that very much. And you know what? Isn't that something, though? Isn't that something that we should really be looking forward to? Like, we should be voting people in that are going to go out there and just tell the truth, and just show everything. Yes, I will admit that some of the mistakes that this administration has had, and you have to understand something. President Donald Trump puts a team that he feels or believes to be the best. And, you got to put your whole trust 100% on that. Okay. And that is, it can come and bite you in the ass, because that's just how it is. Okay. Any manager that hires anybody that says, oh my God, this guy's gonna be fantastic, and that is the troublemaker that they hired, and they had to fire him. Okay. So there's no difference. There's no difference with President Trump and what he needs to do in office. It's very the same thing. Okay, it is at the end of the day a business that he's running, and he is in the business of the Americans first. But with that being said, it's like I believe that the administration can be good, and the administration can make the president look really good, or can make the president look really bad. So far, I think Pam Bondi has made a few mistakes that I wish she didn't. Kristi Noem has also made a couple of mistakes that I wish she didn't. But this is why they get replaced. This is why they put somebody else in place. Do I think they did a good job? Absolutely. Fantastic. They're not going to be perfect. They did a great job. But there's always, the little percentage that we are human beings and we make mistakes. So with that being said, I will rebuke every Christian. If you call yourself a Christian, I will rebuke you, and I hope that you rebuke me as well. But just remember this: if you're going to rebuke me, you better know dang sure that you are right about what you're rebuking me about, and that you do not go against what the Bible says. That's if you get religious with me. That's only if you get religious on me with me. Veteran says we should only vote for people we think will do what's best for the American people, regardless of party. That is absolutely right. That is absolutely right. And all we can hope for is that they are the right people. That's all we can hope for. Okay. Now let me go ahead and read a couple of comments here on my on my portrait live stream, just from the people that matter. Hey Samuel, how are you? No problem, Sam. It's good to have you here. Hi, Marian, Maria and Murray. Oh, Maria and Murray. I see. All right, Big 1911. How you doing, brother? Good to see you here. 1986. James, good morning. Agus, so many butts in the channel nowadays. The Penguin says we can't agree to disagree about covering up a child trafficking ring. You know, theories is one thing. You have to understand anything that has to do with theories or hearsay, allegations, you cannot speak about it as if you know the truth, as if you are in the inside. You got to be careful when you say stuff like that. But we'll go ahead and jump into some of the stuff, and you will see that everything that I tell you is the truth. Now, you're going to see also a lot of trolls that come into my chat and keep saying that I'm lying and I'm a liar. Well, you be the judge of that. I want you to please ignore those comments, and if you don't like them, go ahead and block them. Not you, Muds, because if you block them, then I don't get to see them. But you go ahead and block anybody that is being annoying and is not giving you information that you want. Good morning, Tanya. Good to see you, sis. Great to see you. Hey, JS. Let's see. Slander, has Trump been truthful on the Epstein files? I think so, 100%, that he has been truthful. Now, would I put my hands in the fire for the man? Probably not. But I believe him. I believe that he is truthful 100%. Scott, good morning. Mr. Buron. Sounds like Scott Burrow. Burrow on. Let's see. Shaky says, you will regard the alien who resides with you as the native born among you. You are to love him as yourself, for you were aliens in the land of Egypt. I am the Lord your God, and that's right. I like that. And with that being said, anything that I say about illegal immigrants, I have taken that advice myself. That's why my mother taught me, by the way, this, and this is why I give you that advice. That's why we have followed the law to the letter. We came here until we got permission to come to this country. And we always knew that if we come here illegally, we are breaking the law. And at some point, you will get deported. So with that being said, and I'm glad that you brought that scripture up, because it is the reason that why I tell you what I tell you is because I love you as I love myself. And one thing that I'm not going to allow myself to do is to lie to myself. So that's that. 61-year-old, this year, Cold War era Army veteran. I just consider myself an American patriot, not a Democrat, not a Republican. I have been leaning more towards the Republican side. Veteran Hoffman, and I believe that you and I are on the same, except I consider myself to be a Democrat, not registered per se, but when I say Democrat, it's the old school Democrat, the ones who believe in putting America first, the ones who believe on border security, the ones that believe that putting Americans before illegal immigrants. That's the Democratic Party that I remember, and the Republicans used to be the one that fight on the same sentiments, the same sort of policies, but they would just fight about who will do the job better than the other. Now it's just illegals, illegals, illegals. Americans, who cares? You know, who cares about Christians? Muslims, Muslims, Muslims. Let's go ahead and change the religion that, let me, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Let me ask you something. Let me ask you something. Now, this is just, if you don't believe in God, that's fine. Don't say anything. But this is for any common sense American out there. Let me ask you one question. Okay? Maybe a couple. And probably a follow-up. Let me ask you this. The United States of America, being Christian dominant, has become one of the most powerful military forces on earth and has become the greatest country in the world. Christian base, over 70%. Now it's going down to 60%. Here is the same question. Every Islamic country has gone mad. They are blessed in a way, sure. But they are in no way compared to the United States of America. None of them. None of the Muslim countries compares to the United States of America, period. And that's a fact. Period. Now here's the other question. I guess there was more than two questions. Why do you think, oh my God, and there's another question on top of this one. Why do you think that Muslims are moving into countries that are predominantly Christians? You have to critically, critical thinking is one of those things that people don't do anymore. They don't do this nowadays. But think about this. So nations, now we have enjoyed peace somewhat for many decades now. But all these nations that are predominantly Christian have been blessed. I'm not saying perfect. I'm just saying, to God be the glory, and we praise Jesus. But I'm just saying, these are not that there's no sin. Of course, that's everywhere. But they're predominantly Christians, have been able to flourish despite the troubles, despite the tribulations, despite the battles, have flourished and have given the people freedoms that maybe once they didn't have. And Muslims are oppressive. They take away the rights for the females. Females are just a piece of meat that they hand to each other as a trophy. That's just the bottom line. That's it. But if the God of Islam really truly is God, because to me the only God is the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the Father of Jesus Christ. That's the only true God. Thus, I don't believe Allah is a real God. Why do you think? Well, the answer is in the question. Why do you think that all these Muslim people are moving to Christian countries with a lot of freedoms? Why do you think that predominantly Christian countries have flourished and become powerful? Because of God. The one true God, whether you like it or not, it is the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Now, do I believe that all Jews are going to heaven? Probably not. If they do not accept Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior, bye-bye Jews. Bye-bye Jews. I believe that wholeheartedly. There was a king. There was a king that prepared a great feast. The greatest feast. A feast and a party like nobody has ever seen before. The greatest feast. And he had invited a lot of people. All his people. The king had invited all his people. The people he called my people. He invited them all. By the time the party was about to start, nobody has shown up. None of his people showed up. So the king says, wait a minute, I'm throwing a party. I got the best feed, the greatest feed and feast that anybody has ever seen before. Go onto the street and invite anybody. Bring anybody that wants to come in. Bathe them, clothe them, put some perfume on them, make them smell good, make them look good, and bring them on to my feast. And the king had all of these people who were not his people and brought them into his kingdom. And they drank and they ate. Jesus Christ was sent to the Jews, and the Jews rejected him. The majority. The Jews crucified him. Peter tried to stop the people that were trying to turn in Jesus Christ. But Jesus Christ says, "Get behind me, Satan." And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. Jesus, what are you talking about? You know, and in my youth, when I was a freshly newborn, when I was a fresh newborn in Christ, I was like, I will die to protect Jesus Christ. So how can he say to Peter, who is trying to protect him, "Get behind me, Satan"? And I was like, wait a minute, but Jesus, but I will die for you as well. I will go and fight everybody, and you will never be sacrificed. And then and I shut up. And then I realized what he meant to Peter: "Get behind me, Satan." You have to understand something. Just because we know something to be bad, it doesn't mean that it's not meant to happen. You know why 9/11 happened? Besides terrorism. 9/11 happened at the peak where people were going crazy with this racist rhetoric. And the racism just got so big. Hate. 9/11 happens. Everybody under the dust looked the same. Blacks, Asians, Hispanics, all kinds of people were there. 2,800 plus people died on 9/11. And the terrorist Muslims throughout the world celebrating, shooting their AK-47s, celebrating that there was death happening in America. Certainly Iran's regime was celebrating the craziest. And that's something that we have to live with. And that's okay. But we came together. Why World War I? We came together. Why World War II? We came together. Right now, we went to destroy the Iranian regime. Now, we, by the means of military power, we already won this. There's still some nuisances that can still do damage. We're not going to play dumb about it. They can still do damage. But they're done. And then it's crazy for me how I hear people, especially on CNN and all these other leftist media, Iran won the war. What the hell are you talking about? That is the stupidest comments that people can make right now. Iran won the war. What? What? I have no words. I have no words. I don't think you know how war works. So anyway, long story short, Jesus Christ came to die for our sins. The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is the only one true God, Yahweh, Jehovah. He is the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. Jesus Christ is Lord. Jesus Christ is King. And no other religion is true. Jesus Christ is the only truth, the only life, and the only way to get to the Father. Nobody comes to the Father but through me. You know what the Pope says? And the Roman Catholic Church? You know the Pope is the Antichrist, right? You do know that. I'm sorry, Catholics. If you're a Catholic in here, it is the truth. Isaac, don't go too far. Don't go too far. You're taking this out of context. The Pope. Some people in the church, you are not a pastor. That is right, Maritza. I am not. I'm not a pastor. Nobody claimed that. But the Pope says, people look at the Pope as the most holiest of all. Shut the hell up. What kind of stupidity is that? That is demonic. May God rebuke you, Satan, for saying that. Do you know what's crazy? When Jesus Christ was on this earth, God, the Son of God, he didn't say, I'm the holiest of the holiest. He humbled himself. He bared our sins. He was made without attraction. He was 100% human. And he didn't dress with royal robes, but the Pope does. The Pope and the priests in the Catholic churches, they got these robes, these hats, and they claim to be the kings of the Catholic Church, while they go and worship some rock, some idol in their temple. Oh boy. Oh man, if you're a Catholic, you're not going to like me today. I'll tell you that right now. But you have to be truth. You have to be truthful. You got to be real. I'm not telling you go be Pentecostal. Those are man-made doctrines. You understand? Man-made doctrines are always faulty. Jesus Christ didn't say go and preach a doctrine. No, he says go and preach the good news. Tell them the blind see, the mute speak, the deaf can hear, the dead are rising. Go share that. Go share that. And a lot of people, I get all these different comments from people. Like people will say, President Trump is not a Christian. Okay, he's not. What about it? Oh, he kissed the wall. And what about it? He said, praise be to Allah. So what about it? What about it if he's making fun of Allah? What about it? Marisa, if you're bored, here, let me help you out. Get your ass out of here. All right, for those of you who are just listening, if somebody makes negative comments, I'm okay with that. But the moment that they cross the line, if this is not the chat, if this is not for you, it is what it is. Okay? Go ahead. If you think that I'm lying about anything in the Bible, come at me. Give me something. When I say the Roman Catholic is a prostitute or is a whore or a harlot or whatever word you want to use, what do you got to say about that? Go ahead. Lay it on me. Tell me all about it. I will say this. The Catholic Church, yes, it is considered the first church, the first Christian church. It was founded by Peter, the same one who denied Christ 3 times. The same one who tried to stop people, who tried to stop Jesus from being sacrificed, which would have sent all of us to hell, by the way. So here we go. Let's take a look. Stardust. I already know what it says. Bring something new, will you? I already know about 3:9. Whatever, it doesn't matter to me. That doesn't matter to me. But I want you to tell me what Revelation says about the Catholic Church. That's what I want you to do. Go ahead. Say it. And don't spam. If you're too damn cheap to put a super chat, don't spam or I'll block your ass. What about the Jews? I'm not talking about the Jews. I'm talking about everybody in general. All Christians, let's go. Romeo, this is my show. This is a show where I talk politics, religion, story time, etc. I speak both. If this is not what you're looking for, you might want to go to another podcast. Go for it. Blessed be the peacemakers. How can Trump criticize that? Please answer. Do you not know how peace is made? What happened to the peacemakers in Africa, the Christians? What did the Muslims do to the Christians in Africa? The peacemakers. Correct. The Muslims killed them. The Muslims killed the Christians in Africa. Blessed are the peacemakers, you say. How do you think peace is made? Peace is made through strength. We're not talking here about saving souls. If I'm preaching about saving souls, I will go specifically about saving souls. But we're talking about people's livelihoods and what is right and what is wrong. See, Christians are not going out there to go kill Muslims. That's not what they do. But Muslims do go and kill Christians. And that's a big difference. So if we have to war against those who are a threat to the world, and even if it was just a threat to us, the United States of America, shouldn't we stand up against that? Or do you want to wait until a nuclear bomb lands in your downtown? Is that what you want? How do you propose that we have peace today? How do you propose we do that? Do you know the only reason why Iran was kind of quiet for a while was because we had sanctions on them? And Barack Obama released those sanctions. And now they got this money, and look what they were doing. Thousands and thousands of missiles. They even bragged about it. They played a video. Let me tell you something. If they were really complying with the nuclear deal thing that we will go and investigate and inspect and all this other stuff, fantastic. But you know what? They weren't. They did it in a secret inside a mountain. Imagine that, secretly. And they played it off like, oh, we didn't know that that's what you meant. It is 100% fact. They're liars. You know what? That's why when we say President Trump was chosen by God to be the president right now, that is exactly what we mean. Here we go. I want to go ahead and start off with a video from illegal immigrants arriving in Costa Rica. Now, the reason why I want to show this video about illegal immigrants landing in Costa Rica is because the leftists, the rioters, the Antifas, the local domestic terrorists, which, by the way, I don't know why they're still out there walking free. They should all be dead by now. Because that's what happens to terrorists. We get rid of them. So I am very surprised that I have not seen Antifa being annihilated or annihilated. They should be destroyed completely, 100%. Not one Antifa should be walking down the street. Local domestic terrorists. That is what the president labeled them, and they need to leave. Oh, don't worry. They'll go around with the little red and the black flag. You will know them. You will see them graffitiing the walls of the federal buildings and going out there and pretend to be concerned protesting citizens. That is Antifa. And you don't worry, you also find them in downtown Seattle over there trying to feed the homeless as they sell the drugs to them. It is fantastic. It's a great organization. There is no blasphemy against God, sir. And Eric, you're not a Christian. Stop playing. And I think that you are actually a Catholic, probably. That's why you're saying it's blasphemy. What's blasphemy? That the Pope is the Antichrist? He's just a man like you and me. He is no Christ. Do you understand? Only Christ is the way, the only way. The Pope is not the way. The Pope is not the truth. He is not life. He is a man who will also be corrupted by politics and money, as they have shown it over and over and over throughout history. With that being said, here is illegal immigrants. Oh, the horror. The horror that they have to go through. The riots that we got to make over here in the United States. We got to destroy things and we got to fight ICE and we got to assault them and do all these things. Hey, Sandra, how are you? I see you. Sorry, I wasn't looking at this chat for a bit. Let me say hello to some of you. Let's see. Grant Reed, good to see you on there. Yeah, you'll be blessed. But you know what? But the leftists like to go and fight against against ICE. And Antifa's out there, just rioting and trying to to get a reaction from them, trying to get them to do something, whatever, right? Like what happened in Minnesota. They got what they asked for. That's what they wanted. And they thought that was going to stop ICE from doing their job. Well, they might have slowed them down, but it's going to come back harder with the thunder. And that's a fact. Watch. Mark my words. ICE will come back again. And by the way, I am so glad that California is about to get a Republican governor. Woo-wee! Let's go, baby. Anyways, imagine this. Check this out. And I want you to analyze this. So everybody, hey, like January 6th. Oh, here we go. January 6th. Okay, we'll go ahead and postpone this video for a little bit. I like it when people bring January 6th. You know, because that's all you got. That's all you got on Republicans. That's all you got on conservatives. January 6th. You know what we got on you leftist people? 12 years. 4 years with Trump. 12 minutes into his presidency, and the libtards were already burning the whole United States because they hate it, because they don't believe in democracy. They say they do, but they don't. So they bring January 6th, and all along, here we go, Eric, you're going to be condemned by your own words. And all along, the libtards on the left side, the really far left, not the Democrats that still have some common sense. They just got to come across to the right side. They have been doing January 6th to the American citizens all 4 years of President Trump's first term. They still do it. And the Democrats, corrupted Democrat politicians, they still stick it to the people. And then we got people like Eric, a ignorant libtard, who defends everything that is criminal on the left and hypocritically says the same condemnations that belong to him and his people, he tries to reflect it on the opposite side. With that being said, let me show you a fact. When people come out there and they start protesting against ICE, people getting deported, oh my God, the people crying and they're kicking and screaming and doing all of these things. All of these things. Well, let's see how horrible getting deported is. Here we go. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? I told you it's horrible. And this is what the leftists go and destroy our cities. This is what the leftists waste hundreds of millions of dollars protesting ICE. Because as if they somehow these people are going to go to prison and be mistreated forever. No. They look just fine to me. Matter of fact, they actually look happy. Hey, listen, by all means, you can correct my grammar. That's okay. There is some words that I make up because, as you guys know, I translate every word that I say in English from Spanish. I have never been able to get rid of thinking in Spanish. So if you think that you can speak better than me, it's understanding a different language 100% before you say a word out, I dare you to come at me. But if you don't do what I do, shut the hell up because you don't know how much brain power it takes to do that. Even to insult you, there's a lot of translations that I gotta do before I can say a word. And as fast as I talk, I can guarantee you that I am smarter than you are. All right, I'm gonna tell you what. I'm gonna go ahead and give Eric a little break here. Eric, thank you so much for coming by. Get the hell out of my chat. Come back when you cool off. All right? Too much talking shit. We're not gonna allow that. I'll let you have it for a while, and then we'll just get rid of you because I don't want other people to have a hard time or a bad time because you're in here being annoying. Facts. Give me facts. Give me facts. There's so many people that have said, oh, debate me. Debate you on what? On that you are a retard? That's not debating for me. It's not debating. So we're not going to play that game. Okay, thanks for stopping by, Roberto. I already see it coming. I already know my libtards. Thank you, Richard. But we're going to have to wait 2 more years before that actually happens. If it's God's will, because we have to do other things here first. Let's see. Don Hayes Trombo. Okay, have a good one. Out of here. Another 30-minute timeout for these guys. Hey, they just like to be in the doghouse. This is that they become very special. 47-year-old war criminals. We're the only country that actually try to put a stop to this. Now, we will listen to the UK Prime Minister, which is going to be torture. But we'll get there. We'll get there. Let's see here. Let's see. We're going to start off with, what did you guys think about the immigrants being deported to Costa Rica? Did they look like they were suffering? Did it look like they were just mistreated and handcuffed and thrown on there like prisoners of war? Nope, they were waving at you. Yeah, that's exactly what happens. They get deported. It's like, hey, I'm going to go back to my country, but I'm not coming back. That's really all that is. So is it worth it to destroy property? Is it worth it to go to jail committing a federal crime, assaulting ICE agents? Is it worth it to protect illegal criminal aliens? Is it worth it? I don't think it's worth it. So I'm not sure why people on the left like to go out there and destroy American property. You know what? I'll tell you what. Maybe there is some crazy Americans out there because mental illness is real. But I can tell you, we have millions and millions of illegal immigrants. What do you think they're going to do against ICE? If you're an American citizen, hey, Magic, if you're an American citizen, I'm going to tell you something. It's a damn shame. It's a damn shame when you don't stand up against people breaking our law. If you don't stand up to protect America, it's a damn shame. You guys on the left are just as retarded as the people in Canada, on the Democratic Party of Canada. Pretty soon you're going to be waving your gender privilege card so that you can speak. And you know what? The retardation on this community is just crazy. And other people who are weak, that want to be politically correct, keep feeding these mentally handicapped people that is okay. They don't have morals. They don't believe in God. So of course they're not going to enforce what's right. Did you know there's like MMWI and all this other crap added to the LGBTQ now? It's crazy. I will find the video so that you can see what I'm talking about. But why don't we go ahead and go to Trump warns China about 50% tariffs if they don't get with the program. Let's take a listen here.
Cotton joins us now. Senator, you saw that over the weekend, that China evidently is going to give a missile defense system, possibly, and shoulder man pads over to China. President took action, it seems, directly. That's not going to fly.
Yeah, Brian, I can't confirm or deny that specific report, as the president didn't either. But obviously, we would not tolerate such behavior from the Chinese. And I'm confident, as the president said, they understand that, and that senior officials have made that clear to Chinese counterparts. China really needs to engage here on Iran, a terrorist state trying to close the Strait of Hormuz, because China gets the lion's share of the oil coming out of the Middle East. Now that we've imposed a blockade on the strait on all ships, if all ships don't get out, China is really the one that's going to face the brunt of the pain.
And that means
No, you can't have morals without religion. That's not how that works. Because being in the flesh is all sin, destructive. If you don't have faith in God, if you don't have a spiritual belief, we will self-destruct as we see it. The farther we get from believing in God, the closer that we get to war. The closer that we've gotten, and we have the big live example right now. I don't have to make it up. You see it every single day. Ethan, you are probably the worst immoral person in this chat. That's why you asked that stupid question. Because it should make total sense to you what our morals are. You can be a good person or you can be a bad person. Are you going to be a man or a woman that respects the opposite sex? Are you going to be able to withhold all these physical feelings that you have until you can determine in your mind that this is the person that you want to spend the rest of your life with? Or are you just going to be sexually immoral and just fornicate with any little piece of meat that you see in front of you? There is a lot of morals. It's not just sexual, but sexuality is one of them. Why don't you come into my chat and condemn pornography? How about do that? And then we can talk.
Means China sends a tanker in. They're going to be told, turn around. You can wait here, but you're not going forward.
It's really,
this is a stare down.
Yeah, it's really akin to what we've done with Venezuela for several months. The president's point is very simple to Iran. Either all ships come out or no ships come out. And the United States military can easily impose those conditions on the strait. And remember, that's where Iran gets the vast majority of its revenue and how it supports its military and its terrorist proxies throughout the region. So this puts them now not just in a military vice, but in an economic vice as well.
With the progress we're making, do you think on some level the administration regrets the ceasefire?
No, I don't think so. I think the president has bent over backwards. Now, going back 9 years, trying to allow Iran to take very simple, very easy steps of turning over their nuclear materials, shutting down their nuclear infrastructure, stopping their support for terrorism. These are not onerous demands. These are something we expect from any civilized nation.
Right.
And the president's going to continue to try to find a way to meet those demands, but he's going to keep the military and economic pressure on Iran until they do.
They got about 100 launchers left, so they're hiding them, and about 1,000 ballistic missiles left. With this mosaic defense that they have, evidently when Saddam Hussein was taken out in 26 days, they said he had so much power, you can decapitate a regime. They didn't want to be decapitated. Take out the Ayatollah, they have 32 provinces running their own war. Is it possible they don't know how bad things are because they have their own 32 separate supply chains? They have very little communication.
They know how bad things are and they know the risk. It is true that it is hard for Iran's leaders to communicate. As Pete Hegseth said a couple weeks ago, they can't, not only can they not command and control, they can barely communicate. They're afraid that if they turn on their phones, that they may get a bomb dropped on their head. That said, every military line of effort in this campaign is either on time or ahead of schedule. Their missiles, missile launchers, the drones, the Navy, the Air Force. That's the consistent message I hear from my conversations with senior administration officials and from the briefings and the hearings that we get in Congress.
So the Wall Street Journal today has a report that we're looking to take some limited action during the ceasefire. If so, what kind of action do you think that we need to take that wouldn't last another week?
Well, if Iran follows through on its threat this morning to target ports in the region for our friends in places like Saudi Arabia or the United Arab Emirates,
including the Red Sea,
obviously, we're not just going to sit back idly and let that happen. We're going to re-engage in part to help protect our troops and our ships in the region and help protect our friends as well.
Stockpiles. Are you concerned about our stockpiles, from interceptors to munitions? We heard about shortages during the Biden years with supplying Ukraine.
I've been concerned about this for years. I've worked on it for a long time in Congress. It's getting better under the Trump administration. Pete Hegseth and the Deputy Secretary, Steve Feinberg, are working very hard to accelerate production of these interceptors and missiles in places where they're made, like Camden, Arkansas. So it's improving, but we still have a lot to do to gain. I'm not concerned about what it means for the conduct of this operation. I'm more concerned about what it means for the future. That's why we have to do more faster.
Would you like to see another round of talks that lasted 21 hours and didn't yield any results?
Until Iran shows that it's serious about these very simple demands, like turning over its nuclear materials, no longer supporting terrorism, no longer trying to terrorize the Strait of Hormuz, I don't see the talks are making much progress. When they're ready to get serious, perhaps when they felt more economic pain, more military pain, maybe they want to re-engage at that point.
All right, Senator, thanks so much. Good to see you in New York. Good to see you face to face.
Good to be here.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe.
I want to ask you a question, a serious question, and maybe anybody can answer this. All right. Riddle me this. Why is it so hard? Why is it so hard for the Iranian regime to just say no to nuclear? Anybody can jump in. Anybody can jump in. Why? Now, President Trump has said it many times. Listen, we don't have to go do anything. All we want is that they do not have nuclear weapons. Done. We want to hear it, even though we know they're liars. We want to hear that they are not going to seek nuclear weapons. And no more death to America. Because they're being threatened with nukes. Let's be honest. How many here, and it's only 50 people in here, but how many people in here have a problem with these Muslim regime, the Ayatollah, the people that we're fighting with right now? How many of you have a hard time how many of you gets bothered by hearing death to America? I will hope that all of you. Veteran says, luckily Obama wasn't able to do it. DHS Secretary Janet Napolitano took responsibility for the report and apologized to the veterans, stating the report was intended as an assessment of threats. What did we miss over here? Let's see. Yeah, that's about the Catholics. Yeah. And Lone Wolf, let's see. Lone Wolf. Where's Lone Wolf? Lone Wolf is in here too? Let's see. Lone Wolf on the white. Hey, there he is. Cutting edge. What's going on, baby? Because they follow their prophetic doom. Absolutely. 100%. But other people on the left who don't believe in God, it's ironic, ain't it? Because they don't believe in God, they don't pay attention to it. Hey, Luis, yeah, because they don't believe in God, they don't pay attention to religion. So I'm gonna say this: even if you don't believe in God, okay, do this for yourself. Do this for yourself. Go get the Quran and research for yourself. As a matter of fact, you don't even have to go buy the Quran. I have the Quran. I got the big, fat study Quran behind me. You can just research. Do some Google research. What do Muslims believe? What is Sharia law? Go ahead and find out who was the Prophet Muhammad. You go and research all this. And that you will see for yourself. Muhammad is a well-known pedophile. In the Islam religion, it's a pedophile cult. They literally, this is so hard to say. They are literally doing to kids what you accuse President Trump of doing, which he doesn't, or he didn't. Why does it always seem that way? Why does it always seem that the left is always accusing everybody else and their mama about this and that, and then yet they support everything that is actually doing those things? Now I've had people come in and say like, oh, well, I'm a great Muslim and the Allah is the true God. Okay. Well, what say you? Can anybody marry a 9-year-old in the Muslim religion? Go ahead, put it on the chat. How many believe that Muslims allow to marry 9-year-old girls? Put it in the chat. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and make a little, start a poll here. Let's put it this way and see if that's okay. Yeah, and let's just see what you guys say about it. Just for shits and giggles, just to see if anybody actually cares about what happens to them. Now, this is unfortunately this is only going to be for the portrait mode, okay? So nobody on the landscape mode is going to have this poll. I mean, I can have 2 chats going, but it's just me, and I think it's wrong. So let's see. Let's get as many as many votes in there and see if people are actually educated on the subject of Islam. Because I can tell you this, guys, and I know that you guys have also experienced this, that there is a lot of religious people that call themselves Muslims, but they don't believe on these things. So I don't understand why they would follow that religion at all. I mean, I know that the spirit inside the flesh is trying to find a spiritual connection to God, the Father, the Creator. But if you know that this religion is doing this and accepts this, I'm telling you, what can I say? You either know it and are just a pedophile and corrupted and have no morals because you don't really believe in God, or you're just ignorant and didn't know. And that's okay. But you see how there's like at least 26%. Like, that tells me that there is some people that don't believe that. But it's true. It is true. So I will say to you, to the very minority of you who believe that it does not say that, when you find out yourself, when you look it up yourself, ask yourself a question. Should I be a Muslim? Yeah, I know. This is true. Anthony says there are a lot of religious people who call themselves Christian but don't obey the Bible and don't believe in God. Absolutely. I see it in rappers, gangster rappers. It's very unfortunate, but it's true. It is very true. It is true. A lot of people call themselves Christians. Throughout history, and of course, none of us were there, obviously, but throughout history, what do we know about people that use Christianity to oppress people? That is not what Christianity is. All these priests in the Catholic churches, homosexuals, abusing children, etc., that is not Christian. That is demonic. And just because you are in a temple, because you are in a church, it doesn't mean that you are protected from demons. Please, they sit next to you in church service. They are right next to you, listening to the same pastor that you are listening to. These are the churches that are out there just preaching prosperity. Nothing about moral values. Nothing about repenting from sin. They are out there preaching nonsense. telling you that if you just make a bunch of words, they think that that's speaking in tongues. I am so sorry, but it's not. You don't just make up some sounds and think that you have the Spirit, the Holy Spirit gift. It doesn't work that way. I'm so sorry. I know if you've been to a Pentecostal church, or specifically a non-denominational church, they practice this. There is a pastor that I really, really like, and I, we'll let Jesus judge him. But there is a pastor that I really like. I'm not going to mention his name, but he's always talked about prosperity, and I get it, right? Every pastor has a ministry and everybody has a call. But the fact is that that's not what Jesus tells us to preach about. They never teach people in the church the truth about Jesus Christ. It's very rare. Like I've seen, look, I've gone to to gospel churches, okay? And I remember going to the front with my girlfriend, and she was black, and we go up to the front so that they can pray for us. We're youngsters and we want to do things the right way, and we want to fight temptation, and we want to wait till we get married. Well, I waited, she didn't, but yeah, whatever. We go to the front to get prayed for, and the bishop couldn't stop staring at her boobies. And I'm just like, bro, I'm looking at you, right? Because I don't got my eyes closed yet. Why you keep staring at her, It's crazy. And then I found that this pastor, this bishop, actually lived in the same apartment complex where I lived. And guess what he does when he's at home? Smoking weed. A bishop smoking weed in his apartment. That's fake Christians. Fake. And you got to call it for what it is. It is what it is. So there you go. So we got 33% of the people. That's only 49 votes. Come on, people. If you didn't know, now you know. If you didn't know, now you know. As a matter of fact, one of the things back in 1979, when the Ayatollah took over Iran was very free, like the United States was. And a lot of religious people, the Islamic religion, they wanted to control the people. If they didn't control the people, yes, Jed. Okay, I'm gonna clarify this something for you here. Listen, I'm not gonna tell you that you're going to hell for smoking weed. That's between you and God. I'm not going to tell you that you're going to go to hell for drinking beer. That's between you and God. But what I'm telling you is that when you are the head of the church, not the head of the God's church, but the church in here, how do I define this? When you are the lead, the pastor, the bishop of a church, you cannot be drinking. You got to be a man married to a woman. Not to a man, to a woman. And be faithful and have good testimony. Do you think that a bishop smoking weed is a good testimony to the people? Do you think that shows strength? Who runs his life? God or the weed? Don't play dumb games with me. Don't play dumb games with me. I've been there, done that. Don't play stupid games. Do not make excuses for a pastor smoking weed. If you got to smoke weed, let somebody else be the pastor. All right, Jed, I give you my answer. Get the hell out of my chat. And nobody told you that I'm a pastor. And nobody told you that I'm a preacher. Now get the hell out. Vizan, oh my gosh, bro, you guys are the same trolls over. You guys have you guys haven't earned my respect at all. So you're not welcome in my channel. If you want to be saying negative things, okay, well, come on, give it to me. Give it to me. But don't be a jerk. Now listen, The Bible in Second Timothy, go look it up. The Bible in Second Timothy says that if you want to be a bishop, it's a good thing. You look for a good thing. If you smoke, Richard, I don't think you should, because you're depending, right? You have an addiction. And the only addiction that you should have is the addiction of Jesus Christ in your heart. And I agree with that. You know, when I did pastor for 5 years as a missionary pastor, I didn't drink. I didn't even smoke, because I knew that I had to maintain a good testimony. Now, did I care if any other Christian smoked? No, I don't care. Go for it, but get away from the entrance. And if you come back, spray something. You smell like ashtrays. I never told people they were going to hell because they smoke weed or because they smoke cigarettes. But when you come into church and you're stinking up the place, I got a problem. You're going to tell me that, you can't just do that stuff at home or wait until after service? Go do that, but don't kid yourself. If you are looking for a leadership position, you got to have a lot of restrictions. You got to deny yourself. This is what Jesus says. You must deny yourself to be able to follow me. What do you think that means? What do you think it means to deny oneself? Marijuana gets you high. That's a problem. If you are in pain and you use that for pain, that's okay. But you cannot be a pastor. It's that simple. You cannot be a pastor. Being pastor is not just anybody that wants to be a pastor. You have to be chosen. In order for you to be chosen, you must make yourself good unto the Lord. I know there's a small delay, so I'm going to ignore the second repeated comment there about marijuana. I like how people make excuses for marijuana. Look, I know a lot of veterans that smoke weed. So what? They're not pastors. They're not having a leadership position in church. That's not what it's about. It says church incense smells funky. Yeah, I don't know. It's that. Yeah, I got it. I got you. Now, I never use incense in the church, but yeah, I got you, man. It can be yeah. A lot of black people actually use incense in their houses. I don't know. That's just what they like. They like a lot of incense in their houses. How are you chosen? I think sometimes, in the case of President Trump, for example, which I support a lot, he is chosen by God not because President Trump is perfect, not because he's never cheated on his wife, not because the guy doesn't have a foul mouth, but God chose him to show his power to people. Now, I'm going to tell you this. There's a lot of things in Revelations that have come to pass. And all I can tell you is this. If you call yourself a Christian, look at this. And I shared this last night, but if you call yourself a Christian, you don't get to judge President Trump, because then you'll be judging yourself. Now, if you don't believe in God, well, then you can't judge President Trump either, because you don't believe in God. So how can you judge him morally when you have no moral compass? See, if you don't know God, then you don't know who you are. And this is why a lot of people in the world says they go out there and commit all this sinful nature. Women, men, I want to know who I am. I don't know who I am. And so they go and men sleep with men and women sleep with women. And they do all this nasty stuff. And they still don't know who they are. And they find themselves that they're just more miserable now that they have gone and done these things that they know makes them feel bad. But because they want to feel like they belong somewhere, they continue into the sinful nature. And this is where the devil says, hey, don't worry. Nobody can judge you. God says to love everybody. The devil knows the Bible better than all of us. You don't feel bad because you're transsexual. The Bible says that you're supposed to be loved no matter what. But the devil is never going to say, God loves you. And that's why he wants you to repent from your sexual immorality. You should be happy the way God created you. The devil's never going to say that. The devil's never going to say that. So for people that don't want to believe in God, that's okay. But you know, that you can't judge people. And if you are a Christian, you can't judge people either. If anybody is found guilty and convicted by the court, and the court says this, and that, okay. There's nothing that we can do about it. It is the truth, and that's it. We got the results, and we can't argue about it. It is a done deal. Bam, done, judge. Now, can we forgive him? Absolutely. 100%. If you can't forgive, guess what happens to you? You are not forgiven. You will never be forgiven if you can't forgive. I'm not telling you to forget completely. You may have heard before, forgive and forget. No, I say forgive, but don't forget. Why? So that you don't commit that mistake again. See, I have no friends, no male friends or female friends. No female friends. Well, I do, but we don't hang out. Let me explain. I have a good friend of mine. I consider him my brother. His name is Graham. He is married to my little sister, Jan. Now, I call her little sister, but she's Filipina, okay? And I love both of them, okay? I consider both of them my friends, okay? Even though that's my brother and my sister. That's just the way I see them. That's the love I give them, okay? But I know that if I go out with Graham, just me and him, and we go to the bar or to any place and we want to shoot pool or bowling or whatever, and we want to share a beer, we'll drink a beer. But there is one reason why I would hang out with Graham any day. He is faithful to his wife. He never brings other women into whatever we do. And he's not looking for women to do anything with. Because at the end of the date, he goes back to his wife, I go back to my wife, and that's the way we live. If I go and I hang out with his wife, my wife is there with us. And he is also there with us. You see what I'm saying? So I try to keep, not because I don't trust her or myself. Let's be honest, the devil is the devil and temptation can come in at any time. And we can fight it. This is why we have to continue to pray so that we can be strong when any moments like that happen. But I can tell you, that I don't have any friends because of that. Broke Democrats are welcome. Yeah, their EBT cards, they haven't got the deposits yet, so they can't use it. Well, YouTube doesn't take EBT cards for Super Chats. But you know what? The last time I said this, mind you, when I was single and I was not with God, I was really bad. I was really bad. Let's just say that. But I can tell you this. When I got married, the last time, I said to somebody, I said, hey, listen, man, why don't we hang out after work? And they were married, by the way. And I said, I just got one rule. Just got one rule. If we go out, do not go look for women. Let's just go play pool, grab a couple of pitchers of beer, and let's just hang out. Have a good time, right? And, of course, there's a designated driver, right? And so we go, and the first thing the guy does, he brings two drunken women to our pool table. And I say, bro, what the hell I just said? If anybody sees me, now listen, I don't care what people say about me because it's not true. But I do care on the image that it gives me because it will affect my marriage. So I try to watch my image. Now, whether I'm, whatever, it's fine. But I try to maintain my image because I am faithful to my wife. And I'm happy to say that. You know how much joy it brings me? 16 years with this woman. And I'm so happy about it. But there it is. And here's the thing. If they were drunk already, if we give them a little bit more to drink, even without drinking anymore, listen, and I know this sounds horrible, the girls were ready to go, if you know what I'm saying. They were ready to go. Do you know what I'm saying? A lot of people that don't want to be held accountable for their actions, they pretend that they don't know. They pretend that they don't understand. But if you know God, you already know what's right and what's wrong. And the flesh is weak. We look for the temporary pleasure. And then after you sin, after you've done all these crazy things, then you said, oh my God, what have I done? It is always the same. Always the same. When Cain killed Abel, he wasn't thinking, he was mad. Boom, killed him because he was jealous. After he killed his brother, then he's like, oh my gosh, what have I done? Nico, do you speak English? Do you speak Spanish? Parlez-vous français? Which language would you like me to use? Okay, I'm going to give you some attention. Nico, normally I will ignore you, but you go ahead and tell me. Go ahead, Nico. Tell me what's blasphemy. You say literally blasphemy. That tells me that you don't know what the hell you're talking about. Go ahead. Tell me, what is blasphemy? What have I blasphemed against? Oh, I love it when demons come into my chat. Go ahead. Show me blasphemy. What the hell? Stay on subject. Nobody's talking about Trump posing as Jesus. You guys are retarded. This is why I don't listen to you guys. What am I talking about right now? Stay on subject. You guys are so retarded. This is why you guys get blocked. You guys are talking about something completely different than what I'm talking about. Wait until I come back and talk about Trump. I'm talking about myself. I am talking about myself. Anyways, like the whole message. Let's see. Oh man, I feel bad for this chat over here on my landscape mode. Let me read a couple of comments, man. I'm leaving these guys behind a little bit. Let me start off with Sandra. Sandra is my only member on the landscape mode. Sandra says, God commands that we don't tarnish the temple in which the Holy Ghost resides. That is, she's talking about our bodies, ourselves. Let's see. At Good Games, that's because there are no new revelations to be found or understood. Good Games says, for you, definitely, but the rest of us could think of something that is more true that explains physical reality better. This guy, and allows zero criticism, create my own doubt. Okay, whatever. Okay, the Shroud of Turin had been examined by multiple scientists over the years. Recently, it was examined, and it was determined that in order to leave an image such as found on the Shroud, it would take more energy than we have on Earth without burning the Shroud. Let's see. Do I think Trump is Jesus? Absolutely no. What kind of a stupid question is that? Of course he's not Jesus. Let's see. What else we got? Okay, anywho. So that's why I don't have friends, because, you know, most of the time, that's just people, they just want to go out there and do sexually immoral things, and they want to go confuse other people. Sometimes they will get somebody drunk. Sometimes they will get somebody high. And I don't care what anybody says. If you over here saying that marijuana is not addicting or anything like that, let me just tell you that when somebody gets high, you do not have control of yourself. So I don't want to hear shit of excuses that smoking marijuana is a thing to do. If you need to smoke marijuana for medicine purposes, by all means, go do your own thing. But that doesn't mean that you're going to go out there and just smoke in the church and do all these other things. That is ridiculous. All right? All right, let's see. Kevin Kebs, do not get blocked, bro. Let's see. Dennis is stuck between being a preacher and Trump fanboy. Okay. Tell me why. Tell me why, Kevin. They can portray all they want. They can portray all they want. As a matter of fact, Jesus says that it was okay. Jesus says it was okay. He didn't post it. He reposted. But that's okay. I know which picture you're talking about. Smoke some weed, says Cedric. With that name, I bet he smokes weed. Yeah, the Bible says, Jesus said, that is okay. It's okay to say and curse and all this stuff to God the Father and to himself. What else did he say? Do not blaspheme against the Holy Spirit, or you will be struck of death. And that's a big difference. That is a big difference. See, you guys don't read the Bible, so shut the hell up if you don't know what I'm talking about. Go read the Bible, and then you can come back into my channel and say something about it. If you have a scripture, why don't we read a scripture together, and let's see where your mind is. Now, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and go back and talk to about President Trump, okay? President Trump has been chosen by God. But many people don't understand what that means. And they think, oh my God, he's Jesus Christ. No, he's not. Because President Trump was chosen by God, but so was Biden. And so was President Trump in his first term. And so was Obama twice. And so was Bush, etc. And so on and so forth. Those people have to go through what they have to go through so that we can learn to see, so that we are not deceived by the devil. You guys are already confused with all that. Already confused about all that. So if you don't like Israel, that's okay. That's okay. But you don't have to tell me. Just keep that shit to yourself. All right? Blasphemous beliefs. Go ahead, Finn. Come on, guys. Come on, elaborate. If you're going to say blasphemy, tell me why. I already debunked you. Being dressed as Jesus is not blasphemy, so shut the hell up. Anything else that you consider yourself that is blasphemous. To come in here and judge somebody of blasphemy, that, my friends, you better watch out for, because you will be judging yourself for that. But come on, let me see. Anybody else? That's right. You got to be able to discern, and if you don't discern, you're doomed. You will fall for the lies of the devil. Yes, he was chosen by God. Are you retarded? Do you not know what that means? I think you guys are taking that out of context. God is in control of everything, whether you like it or not. Trump was chosen by God. Yeah. He was. And I'm going to tell you how I know. I judge others on facts. I judge others on facts. The Bible says to judge righteously. Now, you guys like to judge President Trump, but it's not righteously. Because you're judging Trump on the fact that somebody said, not on facts of the truth. You're judging him on hearsay. How much you get paid to say that? That's fantastic. I'm glad that you think I am worthy of getting paid for what I say. That means a lot to me. These people. That's how I know. That's how I know I'm doing a good job. That's how I know I'm doing a good job. Oh, man. All right. Don't worry. I will open up the lines, hopefully. I will open up the lines so that you guys can call in, and then you can tell me how I'm being blasphemous. All right. Isaac, I appreciate you, man. Team Pope. Everyone else is a false worshiper. Number one, listen. I think the Pope is a hypocrite. I think the Pope is an antichrist. I think the Pope is wrong in so many levels. God did not choose to put the Pope in his position because the Pope is the holiest. God has put him there to be an example of what not to be like. You know, this is something so weird. When I think of the Pope, it just feels so dark. It feels so dark. It's almost disgusting to me. I'm very good at discerning. It's disgusting to me. How else do I tell you this? Do you believe that you were chosen to? No, I don't believe that I'm chosen. Because I always say if it's God's will, I will be governor. And if I am governor, then I will say that God chose me to be governor. Absolutely. But if it doesn't happen, then it's not God's. It's not God's will. But I'm going to tell you, it disgusts me to think about being in the Vatican. It is the weirdest feeling spiritually. I am just not. I'm not. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't like to be in a place where there's a bunch of idols around me. You know. I don't know. I wish that I can explain it to you in a better manner. To each his own. Let me just say this. If I believe that the future is already written, God knows. God knows exactly who is going to be saved. But us as human beings, we still live in our timeline that we live in. You will never be able to compare your thoughts to God's thoughts, not to God's little g gods. You will never be able to understand the purpose of why we have to go through what we have to go through because you're not God. So all we can do is just pray and hope that we are able to do God's will. Oh, thank you, big sis. Oh, look at you. Flexing. Thank you, Dennis and Precious. I appreciate you both because speaking the truth, you are correct. Oh, thank you, sis. Big drop. Look at you. Oh man, I appreciate you. I know the struggles, and I know that that you have a good heart, and I love you for that. Thank you for the blessing. But it's the future is already written, and all I can tell you, this is just me personally. It doesn't matter if I am going to be in the book of life, if I'm going to stay in heaven. Of course, I want to, 100%. But if it doesn't matter if I stay there or not. I want to know every single day that I live that I realized that I was weak and that I cried to God for help every day. And that I have faith that He was there for me. That's all I can do. That's all I can do. I can't promise you that I'm going to be in heaven. That's God's call. But I sure hope so. I sure hope so. In the days of Noah, when God told him to build the ark, they had comments like that, like Rose Nunez. They say, you ain't going nowhere. Look at this fool making an ark in the middle of the forest. There's no water here. Little did they know that they were going to drown in their own words. But there will be the day when the door to the ark gets closed. And you will be the fools outside of the ark asking for them to open the door. But the door will not be open. So will be the faith in the last days when Jesus Christ comes back for His bride. That those who see Him coming, it will be too late to repent. It will be too late to believe, because they will have to spend 1,000 years of tribulation without the Holy Spirit. Oh, the demons. The demons listening to my words right now, their blood is boiling because they know it's the truth. They know it's the truth, but may God rebuke you, demons and Satan. In the name of Jesus Christ. You know, it's funny because they like to come in and the devil always throws your past and all your weakness and all your faults and everything. But of course they never admit that is they who are doing those things. Because we acknowledge. You see, you have to understand something. I have respect for people who acknowledge that they have made a mistake and that are working towards bettering themselves. Even with Gavin Newsom, which I don't believe, even he said that he did cheat on his, that he did sleep with his best friend's wife, but that it was wrong and he's, not done that since or whatever. I can respect that. Was it right? No. Is he going to pay the consequences? He should. But at least I have some respect that he acknowledged that that was wrong and that he's a changed man, supposedly. I can respect that. Trump acknowledged that he made mistakes, but he's not sorry for them. You know why? Because it gave him his freedom. And it gave his wives their freedom. You don't know what people go through. You don't know what people have to put up with. Sometimes maybe it was President Trump's fault. Maybe it was the wife. You don't know their relationship. You don't know the ifs and ins and whats or outs about it. You don't know. You don't know, especially when they don't believe in God. Especially when they haven't received Jesus Christ as the Lord and Savior. Especially because they were not in a place of Christianity. So you got to give them the benefit of doubt, regardless whether it was the women's fault or his fault. All I know is that those women knew who Donald Trump was. He was a playboy. He was an entrepreneur. He was an entertainer. He was a businessman. He was like this. He was like that. And they chose to go out with him and married him. Do you think that these women literally went over there and got married with President Trump because the guy is just such a handsome devil? Absolutely not. They were there for the fame and the glory and the money. So they got what they wanted. They chose to go after the money. Now, do I believe that the kids were a mistake? Absolutely not. I think the kids of any relationship are wonderful and beautiful. And we can only hope that they grow up to be great adults in life. But the bottom line is that they got money. They got paid. Where President Trump and many billionaires failed, only Trump is standing. Many of the people on the left like to judge President Trump, and yet their lives are miserable. And all they can do is complain and reflect their problems on somebody else's. You know what's funny? Let me tell you something, Abdullah. Inshallah, I agree. You come in here and start talking about high gas prices. Let me ask you something. Do you care that your Muslim religion promotes pedophilia? Do you care that your Muslim religion, as you saw my question right there, my poll, that they allow old men to marry 9-year-olds? That's what prepubescence means. Go ahead, defend that. Excuse that behavior. You know why a lot of men like to be Muslims? Because women are beneath them. Women are nothing to them, but little dolls that they accumulate for themselves. Talk about that part of your religion. Let me tell you something. 45,000 plus Iranians killed by this Islamic Ayatollah, this Islamic regime of terrorists. Let me ask you something. If you can save the innocent Iranians from this regime, do you think the high gas prices are worth it? Revolution, don't be a demon. Demons, you're not welcome in my chat. You will boil, you will suffer by hearing the truth. Come on, answer me that question. I know there's a small delay there. Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior. He is the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. And I will always confess him and tell the world that he is my God, that he is my King. I'm not here to prove anything to you, Ron. You already made up your choice. Hey, Turpy, thanks for stopping by. Get the hell out. Continue your scrolling. Continue the scrolling. Hey, JP, how are you? Good morning. Render unto Caesar. Yeah. Javier Hernandez. Man, here comes my illegal immigrants. Here comes the illegal immigrants into my chat. Let's see. What else we got? Come on, Abdullah, answer the question. Answer the question. Look at this. 45% of the people in this chat, out of 200 voters, out of 200 votes, 45% don't know that the Quran says that men of any age are allowed to marry 9-year-old girls. Unbelievable. That's it. There's nothing I'm doing. There's nothing I'm doing. Just telling you the truth. You know, as I was saying before, and I got sidetracked, before 1979, before the Ayatollah came into power for Iran, Iran looked just like a Western civilization. They looked like the U.S. The men and women dressed like the way we dress here. They changed the marrying age from 9-year-old to 18 years old. You know why? Because they believed that women had value. They even allow women to serve in government. They did. When the Ayatollah came into power in 1979, one of the things that they changed is they reverted the age from 18 to 9 years old. That's not a blasphemy. That's a fact. It's not blasphemy, you moron, if it's a fact. See, this is what Islam tells you. Islam was written by a corrupt government. It's not a religious belief. They don't truly believe in God. It was written by a government to oppress people. It was a made-up religion with no witnesses, with one man who so-called himself a prophet of God after he stole the scriptures from the Torah and Christians 500 to 600 years after Jesus Christ was on this earth. And one of the things that Muslims teach you is do not question the Quran. Why? Because the more you question, the more you find out the truth. And what is the truth? That demons want you to hate Jews and anybody else that believes in God, especially those who have believed that Jesus Christ is the Son of God and that he is the Alpha and the Omega. The Quran contradicts itself over and over again, but the Bible never contradicts itself. Many people want to say, oh, the book of Enoch, oh, that's part of the Bible. No, it doesn't match. Many, many books were written, but they didn't match to be the Word of God. So go ahead. Tell me what's blasphemous, and I would like to address it. All right. Enough about religion. President Trump is right to call on the Pope. The Pope is a hypocrite. He is a political pawn. The Vatican has been a political pawn for as far as I can remember and in history. Always has been. The Vatican has told people when to war and when not to war. It is in history. The Pope is a buffoon. He is a fool. And he's not the most up high. Jesus Christ is the only one. He is not the way to God. Jesus Christ is the only one. The Pope is not life. Only Jesus Christ has died and rose from the dead on the third day. Only Jesus Christ is the truth and not the Pope. For the Pope thinks with weakness. Jesus Christ thinks and is wisdom. Again, he is the Alpha and the Omega, not the Pope. How can I lose my soul when I am worshiping God and praising the Most High God, Jehovah, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and when I praise Jesus Christ, his only begotten Son, who was sent to earth to die for our sins? How can I be blaspheming? By telling the truth. If I was blasphemous, then I would be dividing the kingdom of heaven, wouldn't I? But I'm not doing that. I am praising his holy name. Jesus Christ is above all. Above all. With that being said, Swalwell. Swalwell has done it finally. Now, one of the questions that I have is, okay, so he's out of the governor's race. I want him out of Congress. He should have been out of Congress when he got shagged by the Chinese spy. That's all I'm saying. There's a nasty-ass video out there of him having some sort of orgy. Such is the life in California. A lot of people that don't believe in God, or a lot of people that pretend to believe in God, they go out there and give themselves to this sexual immorality. It is the biggest sin that California has. Sexual perversion. If you're a Christian and you live in California, pray up. Find yourself. It's not good for any man to be alone. That doesn't mean go shag every single female you can find. No, it means get yourself prepared so that you can be a good candidate for a good woman that believes in God. You know what I told my wife last night? I told my wife Precious, and I told her, now guys, I can be a jerk. I can be an asshole. I really can. Some of you already got a taste. You know what I told my wife last night? I said, can you pray for me? Was it last night or the night before? It might be Saturday night. I said, pray for me. Now, my wife is not used to me asking her for prayer, but, when she can pray, I pray, that's fine. But she's not used to me asking her for prayer. And I said, can you pray for me? And I looked at her seriously. I said, no, I want you to pray for me. And if it makes you feel easier, pray in your language. Pray in Samoan, but pray for me. Whatever you want to pray, just pray over me. And she sat there and she prayed for like 5-10 minutes. I love that. I need a lot of prayer. A lot of prayer. Finances, emotional instability, insecurities, loneliness, the burden of failure, the weakness that we feel in our flesh, the disappointments, the anxieties. We need prayer. If you believe that I am lying about something, pray for me. If you really call yourself a Christian, instead of coming in here and just hating on me, this is how I know that you're demonic. This is how I know that you're demonic when you come against me. If you really believe that you're a Christian and I'm not, show me. But I know that you're not, because you can't show me. You know, you guys, everybody knows Melody here, right? Everybody knows about Melody, who I call Tyrone. Just giving her a hard time. But, you know, Melody, I actually seen her pictures. Melody is actually, she's a very attractive lady with a very ugly ass soul that makes her look ugly. But I can tell you this. She comes in and she says, I am a good Catholic woman. Thank you, Pamela. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Thank you to everybody that prays for me. I really mean that. Thank you so much. But she says, I'm a good Catholic woman. And I'm going to tell you, she has left the nastiest comments. Like, they're so demonic that it's like, how can you, don't even say that you're a Christian. Just don't say that. Don't even say you're Catholic, because just don't. Listen, if I call you a retard, if I call you, stupid or ignorant or whatever, listen, you guys call me worse names. That's okay. All I ask is that when you come into my chat, give me something that I can learn. Because you coming in here to just insult me, you have to understand. Now, you only see like 100 people watching. That's fine. But there is thousands of people that come through my channel. Just last night, it was like, 20-something thousand people that came through. And a lot of people just drop a nasty-ass line. And, of course, I see it. Sometimes I ignore most of the comments because I have to say what I need to say. But the fact is that I am one guy on this side of the lens. You are behind your little comfortable keyboard saying all the nasty things that you want to say. But at the end of the day, I'm here by myself. Well, not really, because I have patrons with me, and I have, some of the subscribers, they do support me, and the members, of course. And I appreciate that very much. Thank you, JP. Like I said right there. Hey, Steve, on the landscape on the landscape mode. God bless you guys over there. Samuel, I see that you're over there as well. Make sure that you guys are having a good conversation in there. If you guys need my attention, you got to put a super chat. Otherwise, I won't be able to look at your comments because there's two of them, okay? So thank you for that understanding. Now, with that being said, guys, I don't want to make this all about me, okay? But I want you to understand this. President Trump, regardless of his mishaps and all the mistakes that he has made in his personal life, it is irrelevant now, okay? The guy, he doesn't call himself a Christian. You guys already know this. Now, I believe that there is a chance for him to be saved as well, and I hope that he does get saved. But regardless of his personal life, he is not doing anything in the Oval Office like Bill Clinton did. He's not doing anything to bring shame to our country. On the contrary, we got people from Nigeria wishing that President Trump will come and be president in Nigeria. Can you imagine this? The real African people, the real black Africans are out there wishing that President Trump was their president. That is fantastic. That is phenomenal. You know what I'm saying? That's crazy. Lou Ellis, Lou Ellis, I don't know. I thought that you were a good person for some reason. But Lou Ellis, I don't appreciate that. How about this? Go to the corner. Think about what you did wrong. Don't come back until you change your ways. All right. So Lou Ellis didn't understand the point that you can see me, I can't see you. Who cares about Nigeria? Well, God does. That's why he chose President Trump to be the president. You know what happened in Nigeria? There was Muslims killing Christians. You know what happened to those Muslims? Guess. 47 years. Death to America. 47 years. Death to America. Not one of you libtards said, go get them. Not one of the leftist people said, go get them. Not one legacy media condemned these comments, death to America. Not one. Did I mention not one? Not one condemned it. Not one. But the moment that President Trump says we are going to destroy a whole civilization, people reacted in a different manner. There you go. James, thank you. James, how are you, brother? It's good to see you on here. A bigger part of being Christian is forgiveness and turning the other cheek. Also knowing the difference of each and when to do as such. Absolutely. You couldn't have said it any better, bro. I appreciate it. Thank you. I appreciate that, James. We got 2 years. Remember that. 2 years. James, I really need to sit down, have a coffee with you and connect. We got 2 years. I want to talk to you about some special side projects, and maybe you can have some friends or something that we need to get something going if you want to be part of it, okay? I'll just shoot me a text whenever you're free. Guys, I want to let you know I do have an appointment today, so I'm going to end this at 1 p.m. today. Don't worry, we still have over an hour left on this. But I want to point out that they have been saying to us, death to America. Nobody on the left has said anything about this Islamic regime that is terrorizing not just us, but the whole Middle East. They have done all these bad things against women, and nobody on the left has protested anything that they're doing. Isn't that crazy? Isn't it crazy that everybody comes and protests here in the United States of America because we have this great thing called freedom of speech? Stay with me here. Stay with me. Freedom of speech. Palestinians protesting on the street. Hamas, it's here in the United States, protesting on the streets. But nobody protests on the streets here about Iran killing over 45,000 people. Where's the genocide outcry? Where is the outrage for death to America? And they don't mean civilization. They mean the whole country. Civilization is not the same as population. I want you to know that. If you don't believe me, go look up what is civilization and what is population. When the Islamic regime of Iran says death to America, they're talking about the people in general, not just the civilization. The Islamic regime and what they believe and the knowledge that they have for themselves, that is their civilization. You can make fun of my accent all you want. That's okay. You're more than welcome to do that. But it's a fact. And I want you to hear this because I'm sure that you have heard this before. Listen to this.
When your enemies, and even some, can you imagine Iran going from death to America to God bless America?
You hear that?
When your enemies, and even some, can you imagine Iran going from death to America to God bless America?
Why is that important? Why is that important? I'm going to show you so you know, of course, who it is.
Your enemies. And even some. Can you imagine Iran going from death to America to God bless America?
Have you ever heard a Muslim say that? Have you ever heard a Muslim say, God bless America? Why is there such a problem taking care of that civilization? Getting rid of these terrorist Muslims. Why is that a problem? You see, death to America. Well, death to their civilization. Death to America, it's more meaningful. It's a more hateful comment. They're just, they want to kill every American, period. We're just trying to get rid of the regime. President Trump has said it many times. He wants to have the Iranians be free. He was judged badly with the Venezuela deal. They were wrong, and he was right. They judged him about the drug boats. He was right. They were wrong. People don't like Israel. I get it. But that's because you hear all these negative things about Israel. You have to understand something. I'm not going to tell you that because they're Jews, they're going to heaven. Because I believe that Jesus Christ came for all of us. And if they don't accept Jesus Christ as the Lord and Savior, only God knows what's going to happen to them. But that's not for me to say. With that being said, why don't we go ahead and go back to Swalwell. This is a report from CNN. And I want you to understand something. God will punish our enemies. God will punish our enemies. If there is a million military Islamic regime that wants death to America, all million of them need to go. Because they don't have to do that. President Trump was very clear. If they just give up this nuclear dream of theirs, then we're good. No harm, no foul. But no, they still want death to America. They still want nuclear weapons. God will punish your enemies. God will punish your enemies. And Islam is God's enemy. It is what it is.
This morning, will Eric Swalwell keep his job in Congress? That's the question after he dropped out of the California governor's race overnight. 4 women accused him of sexual misconduct. One of those women says the congressman raped her. The Manhattan district attorney is now investigating her claims. Swalwell has denied all of the allegations. This morning, Democrats are calling for him to resign. Some are, or face expulsion from the House. And this is setting off what could be a series of expulsions. With us now, our friend Daniela Diaz, congressional reporter for Notice. Great to see you this morning. The focus now shifts really from California to Washington, where there's an enormous amount of political pressure taking place right now. What do you see?
Look, John, it's really to the credit of all these publications, including CNN, who were able to break the news about the sexual misconduct allegations that had been swirling about Congressman Eric Swalwell now for weeks. And because it broke on Friday, we've seen this onslaught of first all of his Democratic colleagues calling for him to drop his gubernatorial bid. And now it seems they're going to support a measure to expel him from Congress. To be clear, of course, this is very serious. And Congressman Swalwell is standing by the fact that he's defending himself. He denies these allegations and also is apologizing to his wife in these statements, maybe alleging that there could have been extramarital affairs. But he does not accept that these allegations are true. And it sounds like he's going to stick by those, by his defense. But Congress is back this week. They were gone for a 2-week recess for Easter, John. And tomorrow, the House is back. And his Democratic colleagues, of course, including with Republican colleagues in the House, are going to move forward on a measure to expel him from Congress. Something that's only happened, John, about 6 times before in the history of Congress. The last member of Congress to be expelled being, of course, Congressman George Santos. How could we forget about him? But this is going to be major because on top of trying to expel Eric Swalwell, there could be also measures to expel Corey Mills, who's also faced allegations of sexual misconduct, and of course Tony Gonzalez, who we've covered extensively in the Washington D.C. media sphere for having an extramarital affair with a person who worked in his office, who then committed suicide. So this is going to be a very intense week on Capitol Hill as we see how the House members are going to react to this and how they're going to deal with Eric Swalwell, who is expected to be in Washington this week.
Yeah, and some are even talking about a package deal where as many as 2 Republicans, 2 Democrats are expelled, or 1 Democrat, 1 Republican expelled this week. Could be extraordinary goings on. It is worth noting, Swalwell's the only one of these individuals not to be investigated yet by the Ethics Committee. So it would be unusual, but Congress certainly has the power to do it if they want to, correct?
Correct. And I think something to keep in mind is the way the House usually plays these things out is they want these investigations to happen in the House Ethics Committee. We saw that Tony Gonzalez is being investigated, Corey Mills is being investigated. So the way that this is playing out is they're willing to move forward with this without an investigation. I mean, I think the Democratic House members that I've spoken to read these allegations in CNN, in the San Francisco Chronicle. Notice was able to speak to some of the women. I was able to speak to some of the women and confirm some of these allegations. And they're serious enough for them to move forward with this. It's really a big deal, the fact that this congressman, who of course has served in Congress for 10 years, he was seen as a front runner in this gubernatorial bid, which really launched this avalanche of women coming forward, especially after swirls of allegations on social media, which I think helped a lot of women to feel confident to come forward. And this is what's leading to this moment right now where we could see several expulsions in the House.
With us now, CNN senior legal analyst, former assistant U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York, Ellie Honig. Counselor, good to see you this morning. Talk to me about the Manhattan DA's move here. What will they be investigating? How will it work? Why'd they jump in?
So, John, a case like this is likely to come down to the single issue of consent. Was this sexual contact consensual or non-consensual? Now, the first thing prosecutors will do naturally is speak to the complainant, the woman, get her full statement, get as much detail as they can. Prosecutors also will likely reach out to the accused, to Eric Swalwell here. You have to go through his defense lawyer. He'll have the opportunity to speak to prosecutors, although, of course, he does not have to do that. Then you're in the position of looking for what we call corroboration. You want to look at all the other evidence. So, for example, what were this woman's statements to others at or around the time? According to the reporting, there is evidence that this woman told friends and family members that she had had this contact with Representative Swalwell and that it was non-consensual. You want to look at the conversations.
Now, I'm going to add to that because there was a lot of people that wanted to release the information about all the sexual harassment suits against congressmen. And you know what the result was. None of them wanted this to go out to the open. And our taxpayer dollars, defend them from all these sexual harassment suits that they've had. And Congress, man, didn't want that to come out in the open. Isn't that interesting? Shouldn't everybody on the left want that investigation to happen? Shouldn't you go out on the streets and protest? If you're on the left, since you like to protest so much, shouldn't you go protest that they should release those sexual harassment suits out in the open? If you really care about your moral values, that's exactly what you would do. You will go out on the street and protest to release that information to the public. Who has had any sexual harassment claims done against them? And I'm going to tell you something. After decades for a lot of these old cats in Congress, there is a lot of dirt to uncover there. And we see Swalwell. He is one of many that's going to get punished for this atrocities that they've been committing in crimes against women.
And
disgusting.
after the fact between the complainant and the accused. You want to look and see if there's any medical records. The reporting here is that the woman had pregnancy and STD testing, so that's something short of a full medical workup. And then, John, the key thing to keep in mind is for prosecutors, the question is not who is more believable or which side is more likely. Prosecutors, remember, have to prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt. So that's a very high burden that prosecutors will bear.
And again, we said there were 4 women who came forward, including this one here in New York City. What will happen with other potential individuals?
Yeah, so the allegedly criminal conduct that the DA is investigating relates to one of the 4 women, but prosecutors likely will want to speak to the other 3 women who had other sorts of unwanted advances, photos, and texts and exposure from Eric Swalwell. Now, prosecutors have to be careful here, though, because you might be able to offer that evidence if this case ever went to trial as a prosecutor by saying, well, it establishes a pattern. However, judges and prosecutors can get in trouble if you bring in too much of this, what we call other bad acts evidence. For example, Harvey Weinstein had one of his convictions thrown out because prosecutors introduced and judges admitted too much of that other bad acts evidence. So I think if you're a prosecutor, you do want to speak to these 3 other women, but I think you want to be careful with how you use that evidence.
So the other half of the intrigue surrounding the Swalwell situation is what happens in the House of Representatives. There may very well be a move this week to expel him, something that's almost never been done, though it has been done recently with George Santos here. So what are the exact rules here, and where does the Ethics Committee, which up until this point hasn't launched an investigation, where do they fit in?
So certainly the Ethics Committee does have the power to launch an investigation, to take statements, but the House also does not necessarily have to wait for the Ethics Committee or even for prosecutors. Now, the Constitution tells us that the House can expel its own members by a 2/3 vote of the entire membership. And if you do the math and look at the numbers, there are 219 Republicans right now. So to get to 2/3, you would need all 219 Republicans plus about 71 Democratic votes. So we've seen some Democratic members of Congress come out against Eric Swalwell. So if that happens fairly quickly, if a vote is forced, they're going to need substantial Democratic support in order to get to that 2/3. That'll be a political question whether they have it or not.
All right, so the group chat is back. I wanted to talk about this.
We've always cared about women. What are you talking about? What did you want us to do about the Epstein files? I know that's what you're talking about. But what do you want us to do about it? Let the courts deal with it. Why would you bring that up? If you care about women, you should just be happy that we are caring about these women. Do you know the only reason why you say that is because you are a leftist supporter? That's the only reason why you say that. You see the hypocrisy on that comment? I hope that you do. Let's see, what do we got? Jason Beatrice in the chat over here in the landscape. Okay, I'm glad that you guys are having a conversation over there. I got some of my patrons on my landscape mode, and then I got some over here on my portrait mode. Either way, I know that all of you guys can hear. So I want you to know the difference on this, okay? The difference is, hey, what's going on, Graham? I see you. The difference on this is that when it comes to President Trump being accused by the left of being in the Epstein files, the actual person that has come and said some allegations against him was a crackhead. And they actually took those allegations back. So there was nothing there. But the difference is that here we are having actual women directly accusing Swalwell of doing inappropriate things to them. Let's just call it that way. But they're actually coming out forth, and they're telling you that this is what happens. That there has been not one woman that says Trump did this and have come forth with any proof, besides allegations of, I don't like the guy, so I'm going to make up whatever lie I can about him. And that's a big difference. You see, you do tell, right? You can tell the difference. There's four women directly accusing Eric Swalwell. And not only is this guy coming out and say, oh, no, I didn't do anything with these women. No, he apologized to his wife for the bad things that he did. And there's a video out there, which I'm not going to show you, but you can look it up yourself, where this guy, Eric Swalwell, is in a bed in a hotel probably, or in a bedroom of some sort. And there is a guy in the bed with him and the woman. That you can kind of see that she's a little nervous about being there in the first place. What's crazy is this is the behavior that you see a lot in California. That's just the way it is. It's a sexual perversion. The guy being married and going out there and doing these crazy things with other women and men together, little orgies, whatever. Look up the video. Don't listen to my voice. Don't listen to what I'm saying. Go look up the video of him doing that, because I'm not going to show it on my channel. But the fact is that there is actual evidence and there is proof of him doing these things. And the worst thing that you people have on Trump was, oh, he said, grab them by the kitty. Please. You know how many women came up and say, well, we'd rather be grabbed by the kitty than to be led by an incompetent president. Not my words, but I will actually find that clip for you.
Because this statement came from Hakeem Jeffries. He said, following the incredibly disturbing sexual assault accusations against Congressman Swalwell, we call for a swift investigation into the incidents, and said that this is unacceptable of anyone, certainly not an elected official, and must be taken seriously. Ron, why do you think that Jeffries spoke so strongly in this case, where we have seen Congress be very reluctant to expel lawmakers with their tiny minority and majority lines?
Well, there's a fundamental difference between the parties in the way they've
handled sexual assault issues.
I just look at the speed at which Swalwell unraveled and was forced out of the race with pressure from fellow Democrats. I mean, Donald Trump had 2 juries, in civil cases, adjudicate that he had committed sexual abuse, I think is the phrase under New York law, defame someone by denying it. And there was nothing like that on the Republican side, and that does not only reflect kind of views of elites. I mean, if you drill down into the way voters in each coalition view allegations of sexual abuse, it is quite different.
But can I stop you here? The CNN reporting here, and I'm just going to CNN reporting here, and he has denied this. But from CNN, their report was that a former Swalwell staffer claimed that he raped her.
What happened is what should have happened. I'm just saying it is striking the contrast between what didn't happen. I mean, the fact that Democrats
actually investigating.
You know what's the big difference here? Is the cell phone. Okay, Eric Swalwell, or Representative Swalwell, did a lot of this communication on Snapchat.
Yeah.
There's a lot of this talked about how he sent lewd pictures. And I think part of this and why he swiftly stepped down is because there might be a digital trail of some of the stuff that Donald Trump never had. Yeah. And I think that makes it much harder for him to just say, oh, this never happened. I do think there's probably...
There you go. They actually have physical evidence. You see the difference between having just an allegation, a hearsay. If there is no facts, if there is no proof, the case is dead. You got nothing. But that's the problem. Just because somebody's mentioned in a file doesn't make them guilty. Let's think about how Epstein actually had a lot of resentment towards President Trump or his friend Donald Trump. That them talking about him, them saying all these things about him does not make President Trump guilty of anything. But Eric Swalwell actually has mounting evidence. I mean, I'm telling you, look up the video, Eric Swalwell at a hotel with a girl and other people. I'm sure you're going to find it.
probably a digital footprint.
Yeah.
And he is aware of that. That is where
there's
these are
a
different.
lot of evidence of what Donald Trump did as well.
100%.
But the point is,
I think I hear her saying that Swalwell is also trying to get ahead of what could turn out to be explicit messages or photos, and you've had multiple women.
It was instantly untenable for him to remain in the race. And based on these accusations, it should have been untenable for him to remain in the race. I'm just saying that, we are being reminded that we are operating in kind of very different political worlds.
Let me add another thought then.
Reflect not only the elected officials, but again, the electorates, the coalitions themselves.
Republican Tony Gonzalez of Texas. Okay, also facing an expulsion vote. He's been accused of inappropriate sexual behavior with a staffer. I'm bringing this up just to counter your point that you may have a Congress looking at expelling 2 members.
And 2 more.
And I think that these allegations against Eric Swalwell put the focus back on Tony Gonzalez in a way that I think, as we're discussing here, it had moved away a little bit in the sense that you also had a recess. They're coming back. This is squarely on the focus now. You have lawmakers who are getting asked about it on television. Republican lawmakers who were saying on television yesterday, yes, I think both of them. You have Byron Donalds, who's running for governor in Florida, but Democrats as well, who are who are being faced with this question.
Is it because it's 1 for 1? Like they're not worried about losing?
Well, but I'm saying with the recess, there were accusations against various lawmakers. There was a little bit of a break. Now they're all the focus is squarely back on these things. But I did want to also raise another point about the environment that we're in currently, which is the Jeffrey Epstein environment. Ro Khanna brought this up yesterday and made the point essentially that for Democrats who've been out there and have been really vocal about the Jeffrey Epstein allegations, this now comes front and center for them. And Pramila Jayapal, a point she raised is, what does it say to staffers across the Capitol if we don't do something about this, about these allegations that we seem to think as lawmakers that this is how bosses should just treat people who work on Capitol Hill? And so I think that's something that's really on the mind of lawmakers.
Meanwhile, it's worth mentioning, at least just in passing, that, the California governor's race was a mess and a muddle before this happened. So mess and a muddle squared is now what you're dealing with. In a state where Democrats are probably going to win 60 to 65% of the general election vote, they do not have a clear candidate who is, in position to claim a piece of those top two finishes. I mean, there are more Democratic votes.
And I really think that they need to grab every single congressman that has had any lawsuits, whether they were settled, especially if they were settled, about these allegations. But here, I'll go ahead and play a small little part of the video that we had on Leftists Losing It. I don't want to play that actual video because I don't want to play it. But check this out. This is Eric right here. This is Swalwell right here trying to pull her back. And there's another guy here to the right of them. And, of course, whoever is recording. And there is another woman in the back. And there she is. Not the woman, obviously, but mounting evidence that they're just shady people like that, but yet the leftists want to convince you that President Trump is the worst human being on earth. And Eric Swalwell has been very vocal about judging President Trump, and he has been barking very loudly in Congress because he knows that there is other people in Congress doing what he is doing. And I think that having this woman come out now, better late than never, they need to go and investigate everybody else that has had these sexual harassment suits. And I hope he gets kicked out of Congress. Everybody that is guilty of this sort of behavior needs to be kicked out of Congress, and we don't want to see them again. They either go do the jail time or they just get kicked off Congress. We don't want to see them serving in office. They don't deserve it. They don't deserve to represent the people at all. That's just my belief. Now, for some of you guys, if you guys know that, my channel, I have not changed my views. I have not changed anything of my beliefs. Everything that I've said has always been truth, and it has been proven to be truth. Now, the fact that my channel slows down, that's something different. If my channel's growth has slowed down, it's always the same, and I have been doing this for about 8 months now, maybe 9 months now. And, I am very thankful of all the people that actually have subscribed, and even those who have taken the next step and become members to support me monthly. Some of them, sometimes people, they just support me for a month. That's okay. It is not mandatory to support me, but I will say this. I appreciate every single one of the members that supports me in that manner. It does mean a lot to me. And so let me just go ahead and say thank you to those of you who have been supporting my channel. I really appreciate you. And of course, the list is going to change in due time. But before that happens, I want to say thank you so much. Hit it. There we go. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you all, man. I really do appreciate you. I can see the haters. The haters don't like it. The haters don't like it when people support me. But you know what? Here we go. We have the IRS CEO. That's crazy. He's going to say some nasty things about President Trump. You guys better be ready for this. Steve, I see you coming, man. Thank you for your support. I know, big bro. I know, little bro. I appreciate you as well. Everybody that has subscribed, I thank you guys for that. Both on the landscape and the portrait mode. I appreciate you guys and your support. We lost like 100 libtards on that commercial. On me thanking my members, we lost 100 libtards. But it's okay. Here is the CEO from the IRS talking about how bad Trump is. Let's take a listen.
Look at this headline. It's from Politico. IRS staffing shortage collides with GOP's tax cut campaign pitch, end quote. With me now is the Chief Executive Officer of the IRS, Frank Bisignano. Frank, can you confirm it? Is there a staffing shortage?
No staffing shortage here.
No?
You have to look at the results we've been producing. Tax season's about finished here. It's the last week, and we've implemented all the changes that were needed for the working families tax cuts.
Well, do you use AI to do that?
We use every tool imaginable. We're a tech shop, really. I mean, you got to think about this as a tech-based org. We've processed, taken in 120 million tax returns. We have 80 million refunds that have already gone out. Refunds went from 72 million last year to 80 million this year, serving the clients faster.
Okay.
The original staffing number, nobody ever determined it was right.
But how do you measure compliance? I mean, there's lots of these stories out there that you are short-staffed. Okay, you say you're not, fair enough, but a lot of stories say, hey, you can't handle
Well, that's
this stuff.
because people go, if you had 100,000 and now you have 72,000, you must be short-staffed. But, you know, we've run orgs our whole life to drive productivity and quality. Okay. And it's through technology. You can only do it. We started, you know, when I came on in October, and we changed the way we think about the call centers. We changed our metrics on how we were going to deliver. We're delivering, you know, refunds faster than ever and larger than ever, while doing OBBB tech changes to implement it.
Okay, but can you check compliance? Look, there's going to be a lot of
100%.
taxpayers saying, wait, these guys, they're short of staff. I'll try it on.
Well,
I'll stretch the rules.
We're gonna find them. We're gonna find them. That's the job. I mean, you think about places to use AI and technology, it's really around that. Increasing the compliance. So if you say, what are we doing? We're driving customer service to the best season we've ever had, right? We're increasing collections, revenues up, and we're protecting privacy. And that's the mantra. And, you know, you could do that. You know, 75,000 people are a lot of people to run an org. I've run large orgs my whole career.
The average refund, I think, is up, refunds generally, up 11%. By dollar, right, compared to last year. Why are refunds up? Because of the no tax on tips and tax on seeds, that kind of thing?
Two things. First of all, that's a number of the refunds, but we also have 8 million more refunds going out, right? So that's an average number of the refund. But if you think about it, we had 227 million last year. It's 274 million. That's 15% more paid and 10% more people. And yes, 50 million Americans filed a Schedule 1A, which means they were included in it. 28 million seniors with the senior deduction. What the president did here with this tax reform and what Congress did and the Republican Congress driving it really made an economic change for Americans. And we've supported it technically. Refunds are getting out faster. And we actually had 1% growth, which 1%, if you go from, you know, 97 to 98% in electronic filings too. So it's a technology-driven business, and that's why we're able to get the gains we have.
Now, do you guys handle the Trump accounts, these brand new
100%.
How many you signed up?
Well, we got 4 million, 1 million getting the benefit of $1,000. And remember, we've just begun. So I think, you know, it's 3 million people have filed my favorite form, 4547. That's the form for the Trump accounts, appropriately named. And 3 million have filed, but it's for 4 million dependents, and 1 million are getting the 1,000 benefit. And of course, there's all the other benefits.
So $1 billion,
like Michael.
$1 billion out the door already.
Yeah.
And more to come?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and I think I mean, this is the start of it. This is the start of it. And, you know, we will see it continue through the course of the year. It will continue through the course of the year.
I like it. I like it how people on the left, they just never give up, do they? Look at Victor Rivera, such bullshit he says. That's the CEO of the IRS, bro. That's not even me. That's not me saying it. But hey, here is Katie Hopkins, I think is her name, on freedom of speech. And you guys probably remember this clip from a while back. Here we go. Listen to this.
Daughters. And a son. No, but I'm kind of thinking just for a moment about this, that this is the man who talked about grabbing women by the pussy. Is there any part of you that feels this is not my guy? I don't want this guy to be talking like this about any woman at all. Do you not despair for the future in any ways?
Sweetie, I would rather be grabbed by the pussy than have a pussy for president.
Now what? That's a woman saying it right there. Respects. And it's so true, man. It's so true. I've been telling you guys, man. People don't listen. Let me see if I can find, let's see. Let me see if I can find this clip. I know that I have. Let me see if I have it on my history. I probably watched it on my other. I have 2 accounts. One of them I can comment on the. Thank you, Sandra. I see you. Don't. Once in a while I get to see you guys. You guys are on my far away chat. But I thank you guys for being here with me. Let me see if I can find this clip that I think is pretty cool. Let me see, not this one. I have so many videos that I watch all the time, as you guys know. You know what? Actually, there was, let me see. I think it was the Black Conservative that actually put this out here. This guy is better than me too, by the way. Black Conservative, guys, look him up. Let me see if I can find the clip that he shared. The Black Conservative. Let me see. Where are you? What is this? I don't know what this is.
Amen. Hey, good for her for opening her eyes early.
Oh, man. Exit tax, of course. You know what? These guys are so good at taxing people. Why is it that the leftists only know how to tax people? What is this? President Trump is delivering DoorDash.
Perfect.
What is this?
Hello, nice to see you.
Nice to meet you. I have your DoorDash order for you, Mr. President.
Oh, that's very nice. Look at this. This doesn't look staged, does it?
They're all your favorites.
That's right. These are good. DoorDash is doing a good job. So, the reason for this is the fact that I heard you picked up an extra $11,000 that you didn't get because the tax bill was so big. The refund was the biggest you've ever had. Is that a correct statement?
It definitely was. Yeah, I saved over $11,000 by not having to claim.
Was that surprising to you?
It was very surprising. Very surprising.
The great big beautiful bill. And that doesn't include overtime in your case. This is only just based on what we did in terms of every other aspect of the tax bill, right?
Yes, sir.
So it was $11,000 saving.
Yes, sir.
Isn't that incredible? And that's what it is. The tax cut, it's really, we call it the great big beautiful bill. We should call it the great big beautiful tax cut bill because it's tremendous amounts of money. And that's overtime. That's also on Social Security, as you know.
Yes.
And it's pretty amazing.
Yes, it is.
Well, you're really nice. Would you like to do a little news conference with me with these people? These are not the nicest people. They're not nice like you. You know that, right?
I'll do whatever you ask me to do, sir.
So the no tax on tips is something special, right?
It's very special.
And that's the one that really pertains to you more than anything else.
Yes, sir.
It's fantastic. It's such an honor to meet you. And I think you voted for me, do you think?
Maybe.
Yeah. I heard you're a great supporter. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'll put this over here. And why don't we have a news conference with the press? Okay. Want to do it?
Sure.
You don't have to say too much. I think they're looking about hormone straight and various other things. Do you have any questions?
Mr. President, did you post that picture of yourself depicted as Jesus Christ?
Well, it wasn't depicted. It was me. I did post it, and I thought it was me as the doctor, and it had to do with Red Cross as a Red Cross worker there, which we support, and only the fake news could come up with that one. So I just heard about it, and I said, how did they come up with that? It's supposed to be me as a doctor making people better, and I do make people better. I make people a lot better. As an example, the 11,000, I understand your husband's going through treatment.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. He
He's
has
going through
cancer.
some very serious cancer treatment, so
Yes, sir.
this goes a long way.
Yes, sir. It sure does.
Mr. President, are another round of talks planned with Iran? And if so, will you send Vice President J.D. Vance there?
Well, he's done a good job, and Steve and Jared, they've all done a very good job. And I can tell you that we've been called by the other side. They'd like to make a deal very badly, very badly.
What was the sticking point over? You said it was over nuclear.
It was over nuclear, very similar, yeah, very good. I guess you're listening. It's over the fact that they will never have a nuclear weapon. Iran, you marking it down? Iran will not have a nuclear weapon. And we agreed to a lot of things, but they didn't agree to that. And I think they will agree to it. I'm almost sure of it. In fact, I am sure of it. If they don't agree, there's no deal. There'll never be a deal. Iran will not have a nuclear weapon, and we're going to get the dust back. We'll get it back either. We'll get it back from them or we'll take it.
Mr. President, as far as the naval blockade is concerned, what's the end game? Is it to force Iran back to the negotiating table? Is it to open up the straits so that gas prices ultimately come down?
Maybe everything. I mean, both of those things, certainly, and more. We can't let a country blackmail or extort the world, because that's what they're doing. They're really blackmailing the world. We're not going to let that happen. And you know, the amazing thing is, we don't, can you believe this? We don't use the strait. We don't need the strait. We have our own oil and gas, much more than we need. We have more oil and gas than Saudi Arabia. Think of this. We produce more. Saudi Arabia, and add Russia to it. Substantially more. And by next year, we'll have double that amount. So we don't need it, but the world needs it. And many ships are heading to our country right now as we speak to load up with the best, really, I guess you could say, somebody said the best and sweetest. I don't know exactly what sweet is, but when it relates to oil, it's a good thing. But they're coming to our country right now. There are many boats coming to our country. Now, it could very well be this is going to be settled before that. We've been called this morning by the right people, the appropriate people, and they want to work a deal. They would like to work a deal.
Is it your anticipation, Mr. President, that other countries will assist in this effort to blockade Iran and those?
Yeah, other countries are going to also.
Which countries, sir?
We don't need other countries, frankly, but they've offered the services. We'll let it be known probably tomorrow.
Has the blockade started, sir?
Yeah, started 10 o'clock.
Bishop Robert Barron supports you and your policies. He praises you for defending religious freedom.
Yeah.
He now says you owe Pope Leo an apology. Will you apologize?
No, I don't, because Pope Leo said things that are wrong. He was very much against what I'm doing with regard to Iran, and you cannot have a nuclear Iran. Pope Leo would not be happy with the end result. You have hundreds of millions of people dead, and it's not going to happen. So I can't. I think he's very weak on crime and other things. So I'm not. I mean, he went public. I'm just responding to Pope Leo, and you know, his brother is a big MAGA person, and he's a great guy, Louis. And I said I like Louis better than I like the Pope. No, you have to have law and order in our country, and that's what we have now. We have the lowest crime numbers we've had in a long time, despite the fact that many criminals were allowed into our country, but we've gotten a lot of them out. We've done a great job on crime. So we have the lowest murder rate in 125 years, since 1900, the lowest murder rate. So we believe strongly in law and order, and he seemed to have a problem with that, so there's nothing to apologize for. He's wrong. And the other thing is he didn't like what we're doing with respect to Iran, but Iran is wants to be a nuclear nation so they can exterminate the world. Not going to happen.
Hey, Mr. President, on Iran, if a deal is not reached by the end of the ceasefire, does your threat from before still stand?
Yeah, I don't want to comment on that, but it won't be pleasant for them. Let me put it that way.
Do you still plan to target Tulsi as a straight-up producer?
Has your timetable changed in any way in terms of ending this conflict?
No, I would. It's going on. Just right now, there's no fighting. Right now, we have a blockade. They're doing no business. I didn't like seeing boats come out if they were doing business with Iran, but if they weren't, no boats came out. So now Iran is doing absolutely no business, and we're going to keep it that way very easily. Don't forget, their Navy is gone, their Air Force is gone, their anti-aircraft is gone, their radar is gone, and their leaders are gone.
Do you still want to charge
yourself from predominantly going to China, Mr. President? Has Xi Jinping reached out? I mean, it could be.
No, but we have a very good relationship with China. He would like to see this ended also. He certainly wants it ended. Everyone, I want to see it ended too, but we can't give a nuclear weapon to a group of people that have caused nothing but havoc for 47 years. Look, I'm the president that's done something about it. This should have been, and many other presidents regret that they didn't. You know, so I'm doing something.
President, Ukraine impeachment documents that were just declassified show that Eric Charamilla not only submitted false information, but that he had no direct knowledge of the alleged conversation. It was all hearsay. Do you feel vindicated by those documents?
Yeah, I do. They're a bunch of crooked people. You're talking about with respect to all of the things that they put against me. Yeah. Well, it's come out that in so many different ways. Thank you very much for that question. I appreciate it. But in so many different ways, the election was rigged. The 2020 election was rigged. We found that out. What you just said is just a piece of that. It's a big piece, but minor, relatively speaking, compared to what they did. They cheated on the election. They cheated on the vote. And they cheated in every way possible. And it's the only way we got an incompetent man to be a president. And he was an incompetent man. Many of the things that we're talking about, even including this would have been settled a long time ago, not now. And it should have been settled by other presidents. But the election was a rigged election. We can't let that happen to our country.
It's concealment of exculpatory information. What should happen?
Well, it's a very serious charge against them and the Democrats. They cheat. They can't get elected with their policy. So their policy is no good. They want to have, open borders. They want to have men playing in women's sports. Do you think that men should play in women's sports?
I really don't have an opinion on that.
You don't? I'll bet you do.
No, I'm here about no tax on tips.
Yeah.
Mr. President, even though your name is in the White House before,
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Is it your understanding that during this period of time, while the U.S. has instituted this naval blockade, that oil companies will be able to send their oil tankers through the strait, get more oil out from this area?
Yeah, I think they're going to be doing very well there, and I think they're doing very well here. You know, a lot of tankers are coming up here. They're coming in empty and out full. And we have a great capacity to take care of that business.
Ma'am, may we know your name, please? Have you delivered to the White House before?
I have not. My name is Sharon Simmons.
And are the White House good tempers? Do you know?
Wait.
Potentially. Yes, very.
Mr. President, can I ask you something about
Cuba? Thank you. You reminded me.
Mr. President, what on Cuba, sir? You previously said that you had no problem with countries sending fuel to Cuba after previously promising to tariff them. What happened? What changed?
Well, we're going to see with Cuba. Cuba's another story. Cuba's been a terribly run country for a long time. It's got a bad system. It's been very oppressive, as you know. And we have a lot of great Cuban Americans, all of whom just about voted for me. And they were treated very badly. In many cases, family members have been killed. They've been beaten up and mugged, and terrible things happened in Cuba. And Cuba's a failing nation. And we're going to do this, and we may stop by Cuba after we're finished with this. But Cuba is a nation that was just been horribly run for many years by Castro.
You said based on by Bill Pulte, regarding those two recent referrals for Letitia James for insurance fraud, do you know if federal prosecutors had evidence to charge?
Well, I don't know. I know she's a very corrupt person. And you're talking about the so-called Attorney General of New York. She's a very corrupt person. That's been proven now. And I know I have nothing to do with it, but they're looking at things all over the place, more than one state, concerning her and concerning people like Comey, who's a dirty cop. Comey's a dirty cop, and dirty cops are bad. Nobody likes the police more than me, law enforcement more than me, but Comey's a totally dirty cop, and we're not gonna stand for it. Yeah.
The UFC fight that's happening at the White House this summer, UFC typically numbers those fights consecutively, but should they label this one UFC 1776?
That's a good idea. I'll tell that to Dana White. I like that idea, actually. I will say I've been involved with a lot of big events. I've never had an event that's had more interest in the UFC fight that we have right at the front door. Right there, they're going to start building about a 4,500 seat arena. And then in the back, at the Ellipse, we're going to have maybe 100,000, 50 to 100,000 people, I guess. They're building tremendous stages, and we're going to have massive screens of the fight. And it's a very popular sport. But I have never been involved, because of the White House and everything, there's a lot of reasons for it, but we're having a fight at the White House on June 14th, and we're going to have an arena built right at the front door. And if you want, is your husband up to coming, do you think? Does he like UFC?
He might.
If he's feeling good, we'll make sure you come, okay?
That would be wonderful.
That's
Thank
better
you.
than the tip I just gave you. That's a lot better. But no, if he's feeling good, right?
Yeah.
Is he doing okay? Is he going to be okay?
He's doing very well. He's doing very well. He actually, during the process, he wrote a book. And
Go ahead, give him the name. Maybe
he hasn't had it published yet, but it's a book on humility, and his name is Leo, and he's just
good guy.
Doing good. He's doing great.
How long are you married?
We have been married for 6 years.
Oh,
but we've, like most people, we've been together for over 10. So
that's very good.
Yeah.
Well, that's very nice to say hello to him. He's going to be good. Okay, he's going to get better, and he's going to be good.
Yes, sir.
Good.
Yes,
well, I want to thank you all, and I especially want to thank you for being here.
Well, I want to thank you for the no tax on tips.
That's good.
It has helped my family out immensely, and I definitely appreciate it.
That's so nice. The one thing that I just in leaving, we've had more good press for change, having to do with the fact that people are receiving more money from their tax refunds than they ever thought possible. We had a man the other day got $5,000, another one got $7,000. They weren't expecting anything like this, and it's because of the great big beautiful bill. And that's why you came, and I really appreciate it. And tell your husband to get better.
I will.
And if he's feeling good, you'll come up and you'll watch that fight.
All right.
June
I
14th.
appreciate it.
All
Thank
right?
you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Any update on
Thank you.
DOJ, though,
Thank
Mr.
you.
President? Who you want to lead DOJ? Any update on who you want to lead DOJ, who you're going to nominate?
Well, I think Todd, as far as doing a fantastic job, I will say that. He's a great lawyer. I know that because he's been with me a long time. And so far, he's doing a great job. But we have incredible people in the DOJ, getting better all the time. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Now, the only thank you for subscribing. Appreciate you there. The only thing about, thank you, Cindy. The only thing about people getting blocked or timed out is if you guys come in here just to say stupid shit, you're just going to have to go, okay? That's not what I want in here. I want people that actually want to get informed. If you support Bernie, I can see where your mental problems are. If you voted for Kamala, I can see why you make the dumb comments that you make on my chat. There's actually quite a few people that come in here and actually make sense, on why they support what they support. I wanted to point out that Soros has influenced the socialist Democrats in Hungary. I forgot to spell that. But Hungary. I think I called it Hungary, but it's Hungary. Hungary, I think is how you spell it. I put Hungary, but it's Hungría in Spanish, I guess. But you know what? People don't understand this. Dennis, you need to show the clip about the money belt. I don't know what that one is, Lisa. Maybe you can remind me. But you know what the thing is? The reason why I mentioned that is because change is happening around the world. And it's almost like, like the ice age, right? We're still melting from the last ice age. And temperatures get hotter in some places than they normally would. For example, right now it's kind of the summertime in Honduras, and it has been raining. And that's just how it is. But in politics, it's the same way. A lot of places where maybe a socialist was dominating, lucky for the people in those blue states are seeing how deteriorating it is to have socialist Democrats in power, that they're making different decisions in the way that they vote. The problem is that, these socialist Democrats, they have been stealing your money, and they have been putting this money to work overtime so that they can stay in power by lying to you, by telling you all these negative, fake things about President Trump. This whole thing in Iran, I'm going to tell you something. It is for our benefit to do what we're doing. And I really believe that. And I think that, while President Trump doesn't want to promise that this is going to end next week anymore, because he sees the reality of how things can become very complicated, no president ever goes and does anything knowing exactly what's going to happen. And we can have the best intentions and we can have all of these things happening, but at the end of the day, reality will set in and only the strongest will survive. So we are not here to just be Christians that turn the other cheek. That's not what the message means. It just means that we're just going to strive to continue to be better. But that doesn't mean that we're going to be pushovers. Because what I have seen in a lot of European countries is that these Muslims are pushing around Christians, and these Christians are not fighting back. And the Muslims are taking advantage of that. And a lot of these Christian nations are losing their countries. And they're being conquered little by little from within, without bombs, without weapons. They just go out there and they go and, unfortunately, they go and rape women, raping the innocent little girls, and they get away with it. I don't understand why any country will put up with that shit. But I'm going to tell you something. I'm glad that we still have somewhat the Second Amendment, because these guys are already threatening that they're going to do an inside job on us. Well, I'm going to tell you something. I pray to God that it doesn't happen. But I'm going to tell you, every single one of you Americans have the Second Amendment right. I urge you to go and make sure that you get weapons to defend your home, because these people have no mercy. They are not a Christian nation. These people are here to destroy and kill all infidels. That just means anybody that doesn't practice Islam and does not support Sharia or the jihad. So I want you to understand what is at stake. If you see every blue state, if you watch this, if you look at the blue states and the red states, I'm not going to tell you that the Republicans are doing a better job, because some of them are not. I'm not telling you that they're the best people, because some of them are not. Hey, Cool Cat Renee, good to see you. But I'm going to tell you something. California, well, I don't know, Oregon is kind of crap, but even Washington, and New York, we have the largest economic states here in the country. But what's very interesting is that the Republican states where, they're not making as much money, people can actually afford their rent. Isn't that crazy? Let me tell you why California, Seattle, Washington, and why New York seem to be making a lot of money. It's because the money that they make is the taxes that they take away from you, the taxpayer. That's the money. That is the revenue that they're making. And you got to look at it this way. They have a large economy in their state, but people can't afford rent in those states. Think about this. Where is their money coming from? Is it from creating new jobs, or is it just from taxing higher taxes on the people that are still in their state? I can tell you for a fact here in Washington State that the reason why we have unaffordability, it has a lot to do with regulation and taxes being imposed on the people. They just passed an extra 10% tax on businesses making over $1 million, which is ridiculous, because eventually it will come down to us. When they were confronted that if we were going to have to end up paying for this if the rich people left, they didn't deny it, and they say that they are leaving that open for the next person that comes into government. That just closes to say, yes, we are going to end up paying the millionaire's tax when there is no millionaires to pay it. It is very simple. It is that simple. and people don't want to understand that. But if you're smart and you start looking at what's going on in blue states, don't go and be fooled that California has the largest economy, the fourth largest economy. Don't be fooled by that, because the people cannot afford their bills. They are being taxed up the yin yang, just like in Washington State and New York. It's not worth it. It is not worth it. And they got over $3 billion. Imagine this. They pay over $3 billion to go and talk bad about conservatives, talk bad about Christians, talk bad about President Trump every single chance that they get. $3 billion allotted so that they can say all these negative things about Trump. Don't forget Nancy Pelosi's the smear tactic. Remember that. She really believes that's the way that dirty politicians play. And that is exactly the tactic that they use. See, they smear somebody, but you know what? All truth comes out to the open. And just like Eric Swalwell is about to pay for his crimes, and I hope that he doesn't get off the hook from this, and I hope that he loses his job in Congress. He should have lost that job when he shagged that spy from China, okay? But you know what? It's not too late. We can still remedy that, and I hope that he does get kicked from Congress. With that being said, we cannot overlook at the fact that red states that supposedly don't make that much money. Think about this. What would you rather have? A state that has a reputation of making so much money because they're taking all that money from your taxes and you can't afford a living, or pay less taxes, be called a poorer state, but yet you are owner of your house and you can afford rent? They make fun of California, says, oh, we give the most money in taxes, blah, blah. Please, they lost almost $200 billion. Where's it at? Where's it at? They lost it. $200 billion. They lost it. And they complain and they clown on Texas. If I tell you how much money I pay for a house here in Washington State at $3,800 for a 3-bedroom, go to Texas and tell me what can you get for $3,800. And as they say, everything is bigger in Texas. If you're in Texas, tell me what is the average rent or the average. Let me know. As a matter of fact, let me look it up. Average housing cost in Texas. Should we just make it more? Yeah, and let's just say Texas and see what we get. Let's see. Well, this is just a median. Let's see. Average housing. Check this out. Okay, let's take a look at the average housing. As of early 2026, the median home price in Texas is approximately the average $308,000 to $350,000. Now let's go ahead and see where we at here. If we look at key regional differences, okay? Austin, they round up about between $517,000 to $540,000, and that is the highest in the state. Dallas, Fort Worth, $375,000 to $450,000. Houston, $300,000 to $350,000. Beaumont, of course, this goes cheaper areas, but $148,000 to $190,000, the lowest cost in Texas. Well, let's take a look at the housing cost in Washington State. Washington State. Let's take a look. What's the average in housing? Let's take a look. Now, let's, oh boy. Now, this is, just so that you know, this is the average as of early 2026, right now. And I'm going to tell you, this is about to go through the roof, by the way. The average home value in Washington State is approximately $585,000 to $596,000. over $500,000, with the median prices for single-family homes sometimes exceeding $650,000, depending on the source. Seattle has the highest values from $748,000 plus, while areas like Yakima are $343,000 and under, with an average rent in Yakima for $1,731. Just so you know, Yakima is a very poor neighborhood and is filled with gangbangers. And it's not nice to live in Yakima. Let me just tell you that. As a matter of fact, the times where when I was a missionary pastor over there, we lived in Yakima in State Avenue. And, you know, I work for free. My wife and I, we work for free. We just wanted to help people and this and that. And I got a full-time job over there with Time Warner Cable, and I donated more, like 80% of my check, one of my checks, every month, so that I can have some money to be able to feed the people that come to church, etc. And I can tell you, the one of the reasons why we left, one of many reasons of why we left, is besides we were already done with our missionary time, it's that my wife was outside in the front yard with my two babies, okay? My daughter was about 2-something years old, maybe 3 years old, and they were out there. The kids were just having fun, you know, just playing on the grass that we have, mowed the lawn. We sowed the seeds for grass, okay? There was no grass there before, and somebody pulled the gun, right? And somebody pulled the gun on my wife, and if she didn't turn around, the guy probably would have shot her. And so when she told me that, you know, we prayed about it, and that was it. We have confirmation from another pastor that came to visit us, and we make our decision. So here we go. Seattle Metro Homes, please. $748,000 is the median, okay? The median. And in Seattle, the average pay because you have to understand, there's the Microsoft and there's big companies, right? The average pay, they say it's $75,000 a year. $75,000 a year. If you live in Yakima, you're going to be paying you're going to be making about $30,000 a year. And your average, more affordable houses run about $343,000. Other areas like Wenatchee and Cle Elum, about $483,000 to $577,000. You know, and it just depends, of course, on the area. But if you look at the cost in California, I'm sure it's going to be very cheap here. California is probably the cheapest state to own a house. So here we go. As of early 2026, the median home price in California is approximately $800,000 to $900,000. I will point out that there is a lot of areas like in Corona, and all these areas where they're not really that good, to be honest. And they're so far away from LA that, the prices can be a little bit better, I think. And the houses are made pretty big in some areas, not everywhere. Riverside, but I'm going to tell you, there's a lot of ghetto areas and a lot of poor areas that $900,000 is hell of expensive. Okay, but there's other counties, as I said, that are less money. So let's take a look. The median home price, statewide median, often falls statewide. This is going to be a median from the poorest to the most expensive. Excuse me. It falls between $800,000 to $900,000. Okay, now this is early 2025. Regional differences, its coastal areas are significantly higher. Of course, we already know this. San Mateo County exceeding $1.9 million, in Santa Clara County over $1.7 million, while inland areas like Lassen County can be below $300,000. I will point out that the cheap houses that they have, even if it's in West Hollywood, which is very ghetto, the houses look like shit. They look like rat holes. It's just a horrible place to live. It is what it is. There's a lot of crime. There's a lot of crime-ridden neighborhoods, and this is what lowers the price on the houses. Nonetheless, it's still very expensive. San Francisco averages about $1.13 million. San Diego between 935 to 942,000. Los Angeles 789 to 950. And Riverside 580 to 625. And Riverside is not nice. Riverside is shit, at least from what I remember. Let's see. Oh my goodness, people will never own their houses. I'll tell you that right now. All right, let's take a look at rent cost. Average rent cost in California. This should be nice. Here we go. So average rent, it's not bad, $2,600 to $2,850 a month. Let's take a look and see how many bedrooms. Let me see. Average rent cost. No, what's the cost? Rent cost. Rent cost for 3 bedrooms. Let's see if we get any numbers on here. Average rent for a 3-bedroom house in California is approximately $3,300. $3,300 a month, which costs very significantly based on location, frequently exceeding $4,000 to $5,000 for a 3-bedroom. $4,000 to $5,000 in high demand areas like San Clemente. Renters can expect lower prices in suburban or rural regions compared to major metropolitan hubs like Los Angeles, where an average 3-bedroom rents can range from $4,100 to $7,000 a month. Well. Oh my goodness. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at Washington State. Average 3-bedroom, because, you know, you got to have that, right? So this is the average, okay? This is not the highest. This is the average. Remember, I told you I'm at $3,500 a month. The average rent for a 3-bedroom in Washington State house, okay, is between $2,450 to $2,800. And I'm going to tell you that these 3 bedrooms here in Everett, Washington, are very small rooms, and they're very old houses. But it is what it is. Costs are much higher in the Seattle metro area, exceeding $3,800 a month, while affordable options exist in cities like Spokane, where 3-bedroom houses average around $2,000. Spokane, again, you know, not the best location. I get it. I will tell you, in downtown Seattle, I was leasing a 1-bedroom apartment, 1 bedroom, for $3,800. A 1-bedroom. So this is not the highest price for rent. Now let's take a look at Texas. Everything is bigger in Texas, they say. And I think maybe the rent is just as big. Let's take a look. As of early 2026, the median rent homes in Texas, oh my goodness, approximately $1,800 per month. That, my friends, it's a fair price for a 3-bedroom. $1,800 a month for a 3-bedroom house. Specifically, costs vary widely based on location, with major metros like Austin and Dallas typically exceeding this median, with suburban and rural areas which may fall below it. Dositos in the house? Let's take a look. I saw Dosito in here. Richard Nixon lived in San Clemente. My dad owned 2 liquor stores in San Clemente. That's where he made his money from. Congratulations, man. You're a family of business people. That's fantastic. How he do that, donating 80% of his pay? You talking about the church, when I was in church? Well, because that was 80% of one of my checks, not my whole paycheck for the month. So the church didn't pay me, and they allowed me to stay in this old broken down house, which, by the way, is a 2-story house, but we didn't use the 2nd story because the windows were broken. And so, you know, we didn't put any plastic or anything, but because the wind will just always just break it in. It gets really windy in Yakima. And so, and we were only there for 1 year. And so the winter was really bad. And, we would sleep on the floor downstairs on the bottom floor. And the bottom floor had a 1 bedroom. But since we have our 2 kiddos, we just throw the blankets on the ground, and we slept there with our 2 kids in the living room. I was so blessed to have my little children, with me. It was a very humbling experience, but you know what? We loved it. Eventually, we were able to save a little bit of money, and it was an abandoned house. Well, abandoned as in nobody was taking care of it. But it belonged to the church, so they allowed us to use it. And we painted this room, and we went and got a bed, and we still we still slept in the living room. We had like guests come and stay with us, and we let them have our bedroom. We still slept on the floor. That's fine. That's just the way that we have been putting up through life. But you know what? We believe our rewards are not here on earth. We believe our rewards is up in heaven, and that's what we live for. So everything that we work for is going to be for our future life after this temporary life that we live in. But $1,800, I think that's very fair for a 3-bedroom home, and that's a home, and even then in Texas, that's a little bit expensive, but I still, comparing it to Washington State, I think it's still very affordable. Now, these are just the average median, right? This is the median prices for the housing. But I'm going to go ahead and look up 3-bedroom. Let's see, apartments. Let's see. Let's look for a 3-bedroom house. And here in Everett, Washington, in Snohomish. And I'll show you guys here the average in some of the Everett areas, so you can see what I'm talking about. Now, hopefully this is big enough for you. But here's a 3-bedroom. This is a 3-bedroom house, it looks like. Single-family residence. Single-family residence for rent, just finished, complete remodel, beautiful new luxury vinyl plank. Vinyl plank. Let's see. Gross income has to be 3 times the rent. Cats and small dogs allowed. Credit score has to be above 675, which is easy. And there it is. Oh, it's 3 bedrooms, 3 bath, 1,600 square foot. That's actually pretty big. $3,400. That's what I told you. We're at $3,500 here. But, that's about the price. And this looks a lot smaller than the house that we live in, to be honest. There's a kitchen. Kitchen is remodeled. It looks nice. I like the kitchen. I hate narrow hallways, but it still looks nice. I like the plank. The plank is beautiful. Nice fireplace, good spot for a small-sized TV. It's a great idea to have that, but the TVs are too small to fit in there. Most likely, you can have an arm to pop it out and have a bigger TV. It's still fantastic. You get your cable hookup in there, a couple of outlets for the cable box and your TV, etc. Very nice. I like that. Probably the 3rd bathroom. Bathroom downstairs, yeah. This is the upstairs. Washer and dryer, very good. Bedroom, not bad. Smaller bedroom. Master bedroom. Not that big, but 3 bedrooms nonetheless. That's what you get with $3,500. Not bad at all. So if we go to the next one, back to listings, back to search, and we go to, some of these are probably smaller houses, but here's one for $2,800. That's not too bad. $2,750. Now these are in Lower Ridge. the location's not the best. Let me just tell you that. Add 5 more expenses, and it's not any value, ridiculous prices in America. Well, I mean, this is nice. I like this right here. It's a 1,430 square foot, 1.5 bathrooms for a 3-bedroom. That is not value, but nonetheless, $3,250, that's about right. And then you have apartments. You got 1-bedroom studios starting at $1,450. 3,000 plus, 3,000 plus, 2,900, 2,500. Fees may apply. So anyway, so that's what we got here in some of the areas. So $3,000. And then what you want to look for, you know, you can go and look in here and you can type in average income in Everett, Washington. Let's see. So check this out. This is the average median, which is not even close, honestly, to what people make here in Washington State, just so you know. Okay. It says that the average household income in Everett, Washington, is approximately $83,000 to $88,000 per year. Let me tell you right now, that is not the actual pay for Washingtonians here. A lot of these people that make this money, they work for Boeing and bigger companies in that aspect. So their average is because of the overtime that is normally scheduled for them, and of course the pay is it is better. Okay, but that's why most people fall under this $45,000 a year. That's where most people fall under. Okay, and then below that you got people that have $35,000 a year. $35,000 a year, you cannot afford a $3,000 3-bedroom home. There's just not possible. Just not possible at all. Think about this. If you start doing the math, even if you make $100,000 a year, paying all water, garbage, sewer, gas, rent, insurance, renter's insurance, car insurance, food, everything, you can't support a family of 4 with that income. And that is crazy. And I think that the government always base themselves, when they do a budget and taxing on people, they always look at the median, but they don't understand how many people fall just low enough to not qualify for welfare benefits, free health care, but not high enough to qualify for an affordable living. They just don't see it that way. It is. I don't know how to explain it any better, but that is just the facts of what we have to put up with here in Washington State. And I am sure that you guys have your struggle in your state as well. But I can tell you this: adding taxes to our income for what we have today is not going to help affordability. If you think that these high prices in oil are bad, you should look at your local regulations and taxes imposed by your local government. There is no way that there is a lot of other states out there that have affordable housing. In blue states and cities supposedly have the most money, and yet homelessness keeps multiplying and is going through the roof. Think about that truth for a moment. If you guys have been with me this long, thank you so much for being here with me. James, Sandra, Jason, Robert, Brian. I think Brian is in here. I don't know if Brian made it here today. My man. All of you guys who support me, thank you so much. I appreciate you being here with me. Hey, we'll see you later today. God bless you. God bless your family. God bless the USA. And I will see you on the next one. We will continue talking about all this craziness. You'll be blessed.